Chapter 166. On the morning of the second day, the bustling streets of Hong Ning headquarters city were filled with cars. The interior of a six-wheeled Hummer was extremely spacious. Other than the driver's seat in the front, the back was like a lounge. There was a soft sofa and a fridge in the car. However, a gigantic backpack took up most of the space in this lounge. Luo Feng sat on the sofa by himself. After spending an entire night in the wilderness, Luo Feng became a bit familiar with the soaring shuttle. At the same time, he found a high-level horde leader-level monster and killed it. Maybe, for a regular advanced-level war god, it's extremely difficult to kill a high-level horde leader. This is because the high-level horde leader runs too quickly, and there are countless monsters following it. However, Luo Feng's soaring shuttle far surpasses the speed of the horde leader. The horde leader had nowhere to run and was killed by Luo Feng. The monster materials are all prepared. I'll first get the title of Advanced Level War God. Luo Feng looked at the tactical communications watch on his wrist. Hello, Luo Feng made a call. Hello, sir. This is the Limit Skyscraper. Would you like to make a reservation? A gentle voice rang. It was first in Chinese, then in English. Luo Feng directly said, I'm looking for one of your managers. I want to sell monster materials. Most of our business is handled by the manager, explained the receptionist. The total price of this business is over 10 billion Chinese dollars. After Luo Feng said this, the person on the other side froze for a bit and then said, Sir, when will you arrive? In 15 minutes, answered Luo Feng. I still don't know your name. Sir, the receptionist asked for the record. Luo Feng, I've made a reservation for you, Mr. Luo Feng, to meet with Manager Zhang in 15 minutes. The receptionist's attitude became much better. Keep in mind that this is the dojo of limits, not the HR Alliance, to be able to sell monster materials for over 10 billion Chinese dollars. The HR Alliance's prices are usually higher, while the dojo of limits prices are much lower. However, there are contribution points. In the dojo of limits, only high-level horde leaders can sell monster materials for over 10 billion Chinese dollars. Is a normal person able to sell monster materials of this level? The Limit Building was an 88-story skyscraper. It was a landmark building in Hongning Bay City. Hongning headquarters city was the headquarters of the Dojo of Limits. There were a lot of fighters in the Dojo of Limits, so the daily flow of people in the Limit skyscraper was naturally very large. The majority of people were drinking and chatting in the lobby bar on the first floor. Mr. Luo Feng, two women in suits greeted them at the door. Let's go. Luo Feng wore a black battle uniform and carried a 2M tall backpack with one hand. Under the guidance of two female attendants, they walked through the lobby and entered the elevator. Wow, the backpacks are at least 2 meters tall. Just how many monster materials do you have? Different languages from all over the world rang out. A martial artist backpack was indeed made up of layers. If all of them were unlocked, it could reach a very large capacity. But very few people stored so many materials. In the elevator. Backpack. Luo Feng grabbed the black backpack with one hand and couldn't help but to smile. Actually, this was not the backpack that he had bought before, but the backpack that the Black God set had extended into. For example, Phantom Demon Catalan had the Black God set, so he was too lazy to use his backpack or combat uniform. Ding! The elevator door opened. 32nd floor. Under the guidance of the female attendant, they entered a spacious living room. In the living room sat a woman who seemed to be around 40 years old. Hello, Mr. Luo Feng. My last name is Zhang, smiled the woman named Zhang. Voila! Luo Feng directly opened the backpack's lock and poured all of the monster materials in the backpack into the pond on the side. This scene caused the woman named Zhang to be a bit surprised. However, when she saw the materials that were poured out, she couldn't help but to take in a breath of cold air. This was because there were 3 extremely obvious sharp spikes. The spikes had blood-colored spots on them. Komodo T. Rex. The woman named Zhang couldn't help but to yell out. You can leave first. The woman named Zhang waved her hand towards the female attendant beside her. This female attendant works here, so she knows quite a bit about the different types of monsters. After hearing Komodo T. Rex, she looked towards Luo Feng in shock. Yes, supervisor. The waitress hastily responded and left. Komodo T. Rex's spikes? From the color and size, it's a high-level horde leader. The woman named Zhang couldn't believe it. Komodo T. Rex is one of the most terrifying high-level horde leader monsters. Most people on Earth call it a Tyrannosaurus. However, many people have deduced this from the clues left behind by the Komodo subordinates. Komodo T. Rex should be the most terrifying of all the variants of the Komodo monitor lizard that mutated before the Grand Nirvana period. And those 3 spikes are the most precious spikes on the Komodo T. Rex's back. Any monster that has the word dragon attached to it isn't easy to mess with. Even most advanced level war gods can't kill a high-level horde leader Komodo T-Rex. Take care of all of the materials here, Luo Feng frowned. I still have things to do, all right, Mr. Luo Feng, said the woman named Zhang. Soon enough, the woman named Zhang used a machine to examine the materials. The results of the examination shocked the woman named Zhang. She didn't think that the 2 high-level horde leader monsters here, one of which is a Komodo T. Rex and the other is a golden ape, were both extremely terrifying high-level horde leader monsters. Help me evaluate my battle record and reconfirm my title, reminded Luo Feng. I killed these 2 high-level horde leader monsters with my own hands. To become an advanced level war god, you have to hand over the most important materials of these 2 high-level horde leader monsters, and you have to kill them with your own hands. No war god would lie about this, because there's no point in lying. There's no benefit in purposely creating a powerful title. You can't do it without enough strength. For example, the position of examiner. Only those whose strength is recognized by the highest level of the headquarters can get this position. You can't get the position of examiner just because of title. All right, the woman named Zhang nodded. However, she was extremely shocked. That's insane. Even if it's just to get the title of advanced level war god, a weak high-level horde leader monster would be enough. But a Komodo T, Rex, and a golden ape, the woman named Zhang, was extremely shocked. Mr. Luo Feng, the woman surnamed Zhang, said respectfully, the price of the diamond ape is 8 billion Chinese dollars and 4 million contribution points. And the Komodo T, Rex's price is 12 billion Chinese dollars and 6 million contribution points. Mr. Luo Feng, you can receive a total of 20 billion Chinese dollars and 10 million contribution points, Luo Feng nodded. Actually, selling it to the Dojo of Limits would be a loss in terms of price. For example, the diamond ape could be sold for 12 billion if sold to the HR Alliance. The Komodo Tyrannosaurus was similar to the steel armored dragon, so it could be sold for 18 billion. In other words, if sold to the HR Alliance, it could be sold for 30 billion. But on this side, there was only 20 billion. Of course, with the addition of 10 million contribution points, Luo Feng immediately reached a 4-star contribution level. Now that I've become an examiner, my status is high, so my contribution points can't be too low. If it's a 4-star contribution point, that's still acceptable, thought Luo Feng. As for 10 billion, maybe to other advanced level war gods, earning money is a bit hard. Even when Luo Feng was in the continent of Australia, he only succeeded in killing the golden ape after a lot of hard work. He failed many times to kill other horde leader-level monsters. At that time, he was almost an advanced level war god spirit reader, even invincible war god. If he didn't have the soaring shuttle, Luo Feng's success rate would be lower. And now, invincible war god with the soaring shuttle. Killing high-level horde leaders is really easy. However, the instruction manual also has a reminder from the head. Luo Feng still remembered the instruction manual in the box containing the soaring shuttle, the Black God set, and the spirits of nature. Do not kill multiple high-level horde leaders in the same area, or else you'll easily attract the pursuit of the Emperor-level monsters in this area. Mr. Luo Feng, 20 billion Chinese dollars has been transferred to your fighter account, and your contribution points have risen to a 4-star. The girl named Zhang sat in front of her laptop and typed on the wireless keyboard. After that, she smiled towards Luo Feng. When you become a war god, you usually join the Palace of War Gods and receive a consciousness sensor. However, the Palace of War Gods will send someone to test Mr. Luo Feng's strength. Luo Feng glanced at the screen. On the screen was Luo Feng's information. In the level column, it was War God Advanced. There was also a pop-up box below, which had some words, Palace of War Gods Application, Examination in Progress. In just a few seconds, the girl named Zhang even laughed. Mr. Luo Feng, someone from the Palace of War Gods will come today. They'll be here soon. Beep. An ear-piercing sound rang. Luo Feng and the girl named Zhang both looked over. On the screen of the laptop, another pop-up box appeared. Palace of War Gods Exam Passed. No one came to test him? How'd he pass? The girl named Zhang was shocked. She's been in charge for so long, but this is the first time she's encountered something like this. However, she's heard before that some powerful fighters are recognized by the Palace of War Gods Committee and are exempted from the exam. However, these things are very rare. Recognized by the committee, what does that mean? Every representative of the Palace of War Gods' highest committee is in existence surpassing the War God level. Mr. Luo Feng, someone will deliver the items to the skyscraper in a bit, smiled the girl named Zhang. Okay, Luo Feng wasn't in a rush. After a while, the door to the guest room automatically opened, and 3 men wearing uniforms walked in. One of them, a bald Chinese man, carried a metal box and respectfully said to Luo Feng, War God Luo Feng, welcome to the Palace of War Gods. You will receive a consciousness sensor helmet for free. With this consciousness sensor helmet, you can directly enter the virtual space from anywhere on Earth with this helmet on. Consciousness sensor helmet? Of course, Luo Feng was familiar with it. He used it in the training camp. Everyone who becomes a war god has a helmet. Becoming a member of the Palace of War Gods gives you many special rights. Of course, with special rights comes special responsibilities. The bald leader handed over the metal box. When War God Luo Feng uses the consciousness sensor to enter the virtual space, you'll know the many special things about the Palace of War Gods. Thanks, Luo Feng smiled as he received it. His finger slid across the lock. Beep. The metal box directly opened and revealed the dark blue helmet inside. How familiar, thought Luo Feng to himself. Goodbye, everyone. Luo Feng slightly smiled. He put the metal box into the black backpack on his left hand and directly walked out. As he walked out, he said quietly to his tactical communications watch, Number 1, come pick me up at the Limit skyscraper. Time to go home. Jiangnan Base City. Luo Feng walked toward the elevator. At the same time, the dark blue fighter jet also left the training camp and came to the Limit skyscraper to pick up Luo Feng. P.S. Chapter 1. Chapter 167. In midair above the Extreme building, a dark blue fighter jet was slowly descending. This shocked many martial artists who were entering and exiting the building. Whoosh! On the ground, Luo Feng rushed into the sky and swiftly leapt up, as relaxed as a flying bird. With one leap, he reached a height of 80 to 90 meters. Of course, with the help of his spiritual force, Luo Feng, who jumped 80 to 90 meters high in one jump, directly jumped into the automatic hatch of the fighter jet under the flabbergasted gazes of the fighters of the Limit skyscraper. Voila! The hatch closed. Luo Feng sat comfortably in the cabin. The lights from the various parts of the cabin made the entire cabin seem dreamy. Number 1. Go home, said Luo Feng. Luo Feng already told the AI system that his home was one of the 8 great cities in China's Jiangnan headquarters city, Yangzhou City's Mingyue sector. 3D virtual view. Activate, said Luo Feng. Who? Immediately, a 3D projection appeared in front of Luo Feng. It was the sky of the outside world. Through the 3D projection, Luo Feng could see the scenery outside at any time and see if there were any flying monsters. Jiangnan headquarters city, Yangzhou City, Mingyue District. Early in the morning, Mingyue District was already very lively. Many people had gathered around the entrance of the Limit Hall. Lao Luo, is your son really coming back today? Didn't old Luo's son go to the headquarters of the martial arts club and say that he will only be back during the new year? Why would I lie to you? My son called me earlier and said that he would be home in about half an hour. Luo Hongwu chuckled. The current Luo Hongwu's face was glowing, and his temperament was much better than before. In the past, he had always lowered his head in front of others because of his hard work. Now, he was much more confident and carefree than before. That can't be right. Luo Feng should be on a life-and-death adventure right now, said Wu Tong on the side. Could there be a mistake? No, my son never lies, Luo Hong was said proudly. Gong Xianlan was also chatting with a group of women on the side. In Mingyue District, no matter which family's martial artist came back, there would usually be a lot of people welcoming them. Because the path of a martial artist was a dangerous path where one's head hung on the waistband. One day, one might lose their life. For example, if Luo Feng was careless in the continent of Australia, he could have been killed by Li Yao's laser cannon. So, every time a martial artist came back, everyone in the community would be very happy. Luo Feng's return. Luo Feng's parents told some of their close friends and brothers. Something's wrong. Wu Tong was puzzled. He was the chief instructor here and knew quite a bit about the extreme training camp. He knew that August was the life and death adventure month. Logically speaking, the students would not go home. There were only two possibilities. One, the student had been expelled. Secondly, the students graduated early. But Luo Feng was only gone for half a year. Why did he return? Hello. Luo Hong picked up the phone and showed a hint of joy. I'll be there soon. 5 minutes? Good, my family is waiting here. There are also many uncles and aunties in this district. Luo Feng. He didn't even say anything before returning. A woman laughed. My old Chen often talks about Luo Feng. If we knew that Luo Feng was coming back earlier, my old Chen and brother Zhang wouldn't have gone to class today. Chen Gu and Zhang Ku in the sector are brothers who have been through life and death with Luo Feng. They had gone through life and death together. Look at the car outside. It should be here soon. Gong Xianlan smiled. This Luo Feng will be here soon. He'll probably take a plane to the main sector tonight. The group of people discussed. Everyone thought that Luo Feng took a plane to the main sector, then took a train to Yangzhou. Finally, he took a car. Home. Suddenly, everyone look what's that in the sky. Quite a few people in the sector who were waiting for Luo Feng were shocked as they looked towards the sky. A dark blue light pierced through the sky and stopped in the sky above Mingyue sector. Because of the high altitude, the naked eye could only see a tiny dot. However, one could vaguely make out that it was a triangular dark blue fighter jet. Descend. The dark blue triangular fighter jet slowly descended. As it descended, its size naturally became larger and clearer to the naked eye. Why did this fighter jet come to our area? I saw one in the main sector last time. It was shaped like a flying saucer. This one is really weird. Mingyue sector's fighters and their families were all discussing. On the side, the head of the highest position, Wu Tong, looked carefully and his face changed. It's a fighter jet from headquarters. Whoosh! The dark blue triangular fighter jet slowly landed on a grass patch deep within the sector. With a length of over 20 meters, one could only feel the beauty of this fighter jet from a close distance. That curve, that color, it's definitely not something a flying saucer-type fighter jet can compare to. Voila! The hatch opened. A youth wearing casual clothes and jeans walked out of the hatch while carrying a large backpack. Luo Feng. It's Luo Feng. It really is him. Suddenly, the families of the fighters that were staring at this mysterious fighter jet immediately rushed over. Luo Feng saw his parents in the crowd and couldn't help but to smile as he walked over. The group of people passionately greeted him. Dad, Luo Feng walked over. Feng. Luo Hong Gua held Luo Feng's hand and looked toward the fighter jet that was parked on the side. Hurry, they sent you all the way here in a private jet. Why haven't you asked them to come down and properly thank them? Head Wutong also smiled as he walked over and lowered his voice. Luo Feng, they worked so hard to send you here. Don't just come out by yourself. Hurry up and ask them to come out and sit. Even if they don't sit, you should at least thank them. From Wutong's point of view, someone who can use the dojo headquarters fighter jet isn't a normal person. Thank them. Luo Feng froze. How? Tell Uncle Wu and his parents that there's no one here? Many people on Earth don't know about the existence of auto jets. This is the fighter jet I bought, said Luo Feng. Bought? The surrounding people were shocked. Luo Feng's parents and his brother Luo Hua were all shocked. Buying a fighter jet in this day and age is more than 100 times harder than before the Grand Nirvana period. Keep in mind that many rich people can't even bear to ride on a large passenger jet. One can imagine how many people can afford to buy a fighter jet. Only a few war gods can do it, and almost all of them are regular flying saucer-type fighter jets. Uncle Wu, I'll treat you guys to a drink later. Luo Feng smiled as he greeted the surrounding people. After that, he returned to his home with his parents and brother. The news of him becoming an examiner will soon spread. Since that's the case, it's fine to say that he bought the fighter jet. The fighters' families in the Mingyu sector, including Wu Tong, were all shocked for a while. Holy shit, a little guy like Luo Feng bought a fighter jet? And it doesn't even look like a common saucer-type fighter jet? Everyone was stunned by this news for a while. That's not right. The fighter jet is parked here, so why isn't the pilot coming out? After a while, someone finally reacted. At this time, Luo Feng had already returned home. Jiangnan Headquarters City Sector, dojo of the Limit's headquarters. Chairman Zhou Zhengyong was in a room, sitting on the sofa with a cup of tea in front of him. Examiner Liu. Zhou Zhengyong held his phone and laughed. I've caused you a lot of trouble these few years you've been in Jiangnan Headquarters City. Thank you, Examiner Liu, for your help these few years. After you leave, our dojo of limits will probably be suppressed by the Thunder Dojo in Jiangnan Headquarters City. You're talking about the new examiner? Zhou Zhengyong laughed bitterly. How would I know how strong the new examiner is? I wonder if he can catch up to the one from the Thunder Dojo. The notice hasn't arrived yet, but it'll probably arrive soon. Zhou Zhengyong laughed. I'll be in my office. Once the notice arrives from headquarters, I'll know immediately. All right, when I go to headquarters in the future, I'll definitely meet up with Examiner Liu after that. Zhou Zhengyong hung up. Just yesterday, he already knew that Examiner Liu was transferred back to the world headquarters. However, the notice regarding the new examiner still hasn't arrived. And just now, which is this morning, Examiner Liu received the official notice. And Examiner Liu himself left on a commercial plane last night. Examiner Liu left. I wonder who the new examiner is, thought Zhou Zhengyong to himself. Bang, bang, bang. The sound of knocking rang out. Come in, said Zhou Zhengyong. The door opened, and 3 people walked in. It's Jiangnan Headquarters City's 3 managers of the Dojo of Limits, Zhu Getao and the other 2. Chairman, we just saw the notice that Examiner Liu was officially transferred out. Who is the new examiner? The shortest of the 3 managers, a skinny man wearing a white shirt, frowned. I don't know either. The notice hasn't arrived yet. Zhou Zhengyong shook his head. With Examiner Liu here, we've been living quite comfortably. Examiner Liu doesn't care about our business at all and only focuses on training. Everyone gets along well. And Examiner Liu's strength is also very strong. If we meet any problems, he can easily solve them. The government also gives him face. This new examiner. Will the new examiner be like the Iron Mask Bao Zheng from back then? Zhu Getao couldn't help but ask. Iron Mask Bao Zheng was the nickname that the manager and chairman gave to the examiner at that time. When Iron Mask Bao Zheng was in office, he fired 6 managers and even impeached a chairman. This made people tremble in fear. I don't know, Zhou Zhengyong shook his head. The other 3 managers were also nervous. Since, in terms of authority, examiners are in charge and have the power to supervise. They don't even need approval from above and can directly fire managers and those below them. If they really fight, they can even get rid of the chairman. Beep! Zhou Zhengyong walked towards the laptop on the side. Notice! Yelled Zhou Zhengyong. Zhou Zhengyong shouted. The other 3 supervisors also ran over and looked at the laptop screen anxiously. With a tap, they opened the notice. Luo Feng. Your hometown is Jiangnan Headquarters City, Yangzhou City. His strength rating is Invincible War God? The chairman and the 3 managers exchanged glances. It's the little guy we sent to the elite training camp? Zhou Zhengyong couldn't help but to ask, still in disbelief. Invincible War God. P.S. 2 chapters completed. Today's first chapter was late, so I'll add 1 more chapter. Tomorrow, 3 chapters. Chapter 168. Ow. Is that possible? The three chiefs on the side couldn't believe it either. Look at his information, yelled the skinny man. The four heads of the dojo of limits all stared at it. His identification number is 426-12320-380-608-3211, said the tall and sturdy chief. His date of birth is June 8th, 2038. A tall and sturdy supervisor said. His date of birth is June 8th, 2038, which means that he's only 19 years old this year. A 19-year-old examiner? 19 years old? Chairman Zhou Zhengyong, Zhu Gutao, and the other two chiefs exchanged glances and immediately went silent. If they were still suspicious of whether it was a senior with the same name when they saw Luo Feng and Jiangnan headquarters city's Yangzhou City, they were completely sure when they saw the identification number. Since everyone has their own identification number, the Dojo of Limits World Headquarters definitely went through a lot of procedures to make this appointment. So, there's no way they got the wrong person. It really is Luo Feng. It really is him. The chairman and the three chiefs all had different feelings. Zhu Gutao, on the other hand, had a bit of happiness in his heart. When he first discovered Luo Feng's talent, Zhu Gutao helped Luo Feng. He was just randomly casting his net, but who would have thought that in just a year, Luo Feng would become his boss? He's only 19 years old. How did he become a war god, and an invincible war god at that? The skinny man was confused. You son, laughed Zhu Gutao. Don't think about it. This notice is definitely correct. This is troublesome, frowned the tall and sturdy man. The new examiner is only 19 years old. If he's not that old, then he probably isn't a mature person. Young people have a big temper. Maybe one of us will accidentally offend him, and he'll dismiss one of us out of anger. The temper of young people is indeed much bigger than some of the old guys. Okay, the others, including Zhu Gutao, all nodded. Don't worry too much, laughed Zhou Zhengyong. Young people with big tempers aren't good for us. However, this young man is a lot more immature when it comes to dealing with people. If we coax him a bit, he'll be happier. And those old guys are all sly, so it's hard to coax them. The other three chiefs nodded. So everyone pay more attention. This Luo Feng is a Jiangnan local. Zhou Zhengyong's expression turned serious, and he said solemnly, according to the rules for this appointment, the locals are given priority, and this Luo Feng is now invincible war god and a local. After becoming an examiner, he'll always be in this position. The three supervisors also understood that even if there was a new inspector from the headquarters, they would definitely not be assigned to Jiangnan City. Because Jiangnan headquarters city's Luo Feng is a local and an invincible war god, who has the right to steal his position. This Luo Feng, if he doesn't break through, he'll probably stay in this position for a few decades. And once he breaks through, he will become an existence surpassing the war god level, investigator. His status is even higher, and he can even dismiss me, the president, with a single word. We have to coax him even more. Zhou Zhengyong said solemnly. No matter if Luo Feng breaks through or not, he'll always be above them. And Luo Feng is a local, so he probably lives in Jiangnan headquarters city. Living under Luo Feng's nose, the four of them obviously had to treat Luo Feng well. Don't worry, President. We understand. No one's an idiot, said the three supervisors. Very good, Zhou Zhengyong nodded. I'll call Yangzhou City's Mingyue sector and ask hello. Zhou Zhengyong took out his cell phone and made a call. Wu Tong, your sector's Luo Feng. What? Zhou Zhengyong's expression changed as he listened to Wu Tong's description. Zhu Gutao, you son, and the others also listened carefully and barely heard the words fighter jet and Luo Feng. After a while, they hung up. What happened, President? The three of them looked at Zhou Zhengyong. Chairman Zhou Zhengyong let out a smile. Luo Feng just arrived in Mingyue sector on a triangular fighter jet. And that Luo Feng even said that fighter jet was bought by him. He bought it. He just got appointed. How could he afford it? The burly man couldn't help but to say, don't worry about how he bought it. Zhou Zhengyong's face sank and yelled. Old Wang, you have to remember from now on, Luo Feng is the examiner, the person with the highest authority in Jiangnan headquarters city. So watch your words. Don't say he. If you make him unhappy, you'll lose your position. The burly man was startled. He immediately chuckled and said, President, I didn't manage to convert either. We haven't figured out this Luo Feng's temper yet, so watch out. Zhou Zhengyong yelled. Everyone get ready. In 20 minutes, we'll take a fighter jet to Yangzhou City to see the examiner. Yes, the 3 supervisors responded. Yangzhou City's Mingyue sector, Luo Feng's home. Luo Feng's family was happily eating breakfast at the dining table. However, the originally lively scene changed because of one sentence from his brother Luo Hua. Bro, you said you won't be leaving this time? Why? Asked Luo Hua. I was appointed by the world headquarters to be the examiner of Jiangnan headquarters city's dojo of Limit's headquarters. Luo Feng's one sentence silenced his father, mother, and brother. Father Luo Hongwa couldn't help but to ask, Feng, examiner sounds like a high position. How high is it? Mother Gong Xianlan was also very curious. In the sector, the people that are usually discussed the most are the chairman and the 3 supervisors. As for the mysterious examiner, they are rarely talked about. Dad, Mom Luo Hua, who was sitting on the wheelchair, recovered from a shock and said excitedly, That's a very high position, even higher than the chairman. In the entire Jiangnan headquarters city, the dojo of limits is number 1, higher than the chairman. Luo Hongwa and Gong Xianlan were a bit stunned. They're just commoners. Even though their son is a fighter, the chairman of Jiangnan headquarters city's dojo of Limit's headquarters is definitely a high and mighty figure. To be the chairman, one must be a war god. Moreover, he had to have enough connections to get this position. Their son, even higher than the chairman? Feng? Luo Hongwa and Gong Xianlan looked at Luo Feng. Yeah, Luo Feng nodded. The fighter jet I brought back this time, said Luo Feng. It's worth over 100 billion, and it's something you can't buy even if you have money. In order to let his parents clearly understand his current position, Luo Feng directly told them the price of the fighter jet. This Emperor-level auto jet is indeed something you can't buy even if you have money. For example, the home of limits and the HR Alliance market don't sell this auto jet. Even high-level members of the dojo of limits, such as examiners and investigators, have a discount of 180 billion. If any other country or power wants to buy it, the dojo of limits won't sell it, even if it's 200 billion. Keep in mind that this auto jet thing is something that only the dojo of limits can make. Over 100 billion. Luo Hongwa and Gong Xianlan were shocked once again. Holy, how much does the richest man in China have? Keep in mind that Vanina's astronomical 100 billion bounty already caused countless powerful fighters in the world to go crazy. One can imagine that 100 billion is a breathtaking amount of wealth for the richest people in the world. For Luo Hongwa and Gong Xianlan, who used to live in cheap rentals, an astronomical amount. Actually, even an invincible war god can't afford it. Luo Feng's luck was good. He made a fortune from the spirits of nature on the Misty Island. Otherwise, who knows when he would be able to afford and buy an auto jet like this. Wu Gong Xianlan and Luo Hong would took a long time to blink their eyes and recover. Feng, just how much power do you have, and how much money? Luo Hong asked a stupid question. Power and money? Power? How do I say this? Luo Feng didn't know how to put it. Invincible war gods are the strongest fighters besides existences surpassing the war god level. The amount of power they have is indeed shocking. As for money, for Luo Feng, who has the soaring shuttle, killing horde leader monsters is really simple. The Lord-class monster was his ATM. The only problem is, he can't kill too many horde leader monsters in the same area, or else he'll anger the Emperor-level monsters in the area. Don't ask about that, old man. Do you even have the ability to spend 100 billion in your lifetime? Gong Xianlan laughed as she scolded on the side. Feng, Gong Xianlan couldn't help but to say, I have something I need your help with, look. Mom, just say it, followed Luo Feng. Gong Xianlan sighed. Back then, your dad and I both experienced the Grand Nirvana period. At that time, your dad and I were still very young. During the Grand Nirvana period, human society was in chaos and countless people died. Your father and I became orphans at that time. Luo Honghua, who was at the side, also recalled the past. The Grand Nirvana period, the most painful period of time for humanity. All of humanity's cities were attacked, and some countries were even completely destroyed. I have older cousins, younger cousins, older cousins, said Gong Xianlon. Gong Xianlon and Luo Hongguo were both born under the one-child policy, so they were both only children. However, their parents had many brothers and sisters, so they had many cousins, and cousins. When you're on the run, you can't even take care of yourself. Who has the time to look for relatives? Gong Xianlon shook her head and sighed. And during the Grand Nirvana period, it was extremely chaotic. People lost their identities. There were many who became orphans, single-parent families, and lost their parents. There were far too many. Your father and I recorded our names on our own. That era was too chaotic, too chaotic. The construction of the base city, the reconstruction of the country, and everything stabilized will take 10 years. Your father and I both live in low-rent apartments. We don't have the time or money to look for our lost relatives. After becoming an orphan, he cherished his cousins and other relatives even more. Luo Hongguo and Gong Xianlon had always wanted to find their family. There were so many family members in the past. There must be some who were still alive. It was just that they didn't have enough power, so they couldn't find them. Even the family of a martial artist did not have that kind of ability. Dad, Mom. Luo Feng nodded seriously. Don't worry, I'll investigate all the relatives of my family back then. This was the first thing he had to do after becoming the supervisor, and it was also something he had to do for his parents. P.S. Chapter 1. Chapter 169. When Luo Feng, his parents, and his brother gathered together, Mingyue's sector became lively again. This was because the chairman and the 3 chiefs from the main sector were about to arrive. Chief Instructor Wu Tong was waiting with a few dozen fighters. How come the chairman and the 3 chiefs are all here today? It's rare for the 4 giants to come to our sector together, the fighters discussed. They're here. Wu Tong raised his head and looked towards the sky. Everyone quieted down and looked towards the sky. A flowing light flew through the sky and then slowed down. It turned into a dark blue disc-shaped fighter jet that hovered above Mingyue's sector. It began to descend. Go. Let's go welcome the chairman. Wu Tong led a few dozen fighters to welcome them. As for the families of the other fighters, they were forbidden from approaching. They were here to welcome the chairman and the 3 chiefs. So, how could they just stand around and watch? Voila! The hatch opened and a flight of stairs automatically extended out. Chairman Zhou, who was dressed in black, led the way, and the 3 chiefs followed behind him. They all walked down the stairs. Greetings to the chairman and the 3 chiefs, Wu Tong bowed. Greetings to the chairman and the 3 chiefs, the fighters all bowed. Quite a few family members of the fighters were extremely excited as they discussed in low voices. These are the 4 giants of the dojo of limits in Jiangnan headquarters city. It's hard to even see one of them. Okay, Zhou Zhengyong nodded. The group of fighters held their breaths. Just like when Wu Tong brought Luo Feng to meet Chief Zhuge Tao, they were all extremely respectful. One can understand. The difference in status between a chief instructor of a citadel and a chief instructor of an entire headquarters city is huge. And don't even talk about comparing it to the chairman. In front of the chairman and the 3 chiefs, all the fighters were extremely reserved. Examiner Luo, are you home? Smiled Zhou Zhengyong as he asked. Silence. Wu Tong and the few dozen fighters froze. Examiner Luo? Who is this Examiner Luo? Luo. Examiner Luo? Wu Tong stared. It's Examiner Luo Feng, smiled Zhou Zhengyong. He didn't dare to say that kid Luo Feng out loud. Luo Feng is his direct superior, and his strength was evaluated as an invincible war god by the highest level of the dojo of limits. How can an intermediate-level war god like him? Zhou Zhengyong, mess with him. Luo Feng? Inspector Luo? Wu Tong and the rest were dumbfounded. Zhuge Tao, who was on the side, laughed. The world headquarters has sent an order. War God Luo Feng has officially become the examiner of our Jiangnan headquarters city's dojo of limits headquarters. We came here this time to pay our respects to Inspector Luo. Luo Feng. Oh, Examiner Luo is at home with his family. Wu Tong's reaction was the fastest. He immediately replied, President, supervisors, should we notify the supervisor? I'll inform them myself. Zhou Zhengyong smiled and dialed the number. Wu Tong and a group of martial artists stared at Zhou Zhengyong. The call went through. Oh, Inspector Luo, I'm Zhou Zhengyong. Zhou Zhengyong smiled and said sincerely, I'm already in Mingwei District. There are 3 supervisors next to me. There's no rush. We'll be waiting for Inspector Luo here. After hanging up, Zhou Zhengyong looked at Wu Tong and smiled. Wu Tong, let's go. Let's go take a look at Yangzhou's limit hall. Yes, President. Wu Tong hurriedly followed. The entire Mingwei district quickly boiled over. News of Luo Feng becoming the new Jiangnan headquarters city's dojo of limits examiner spread like wildfire. Other than those who weren't in the district, everyone knew. Everyone was extremely excited. After thinking about the fighter jet from before, they realized, no wonder Luo Feng can buy a fighter jet. So he became an examiner. Call him an examiner. Don't call him Luo Feng. The examiner is only 20 this year. If we count his age, he's only 19. He's not married yet. Does he have a girlfriend yet? I've never heard of one. There are people who want to get close to Luo Feng's family. People want to find Luo Feng a wife, all sorts of things. Since he's an examiner, to become an examiner, one must first be an advanced level war god. And among the advanced level war gods, he has a certain amount of fame. These kinds of people are all amazing in the world. If anyone has a relative who marries an examiner, they'll have a huge advantage in the future. In a guest room of the Dojo of Limits, there were a total of 5 people in the guest room. The 4 big shots of Jiangnan headquarters city's Dojo of Limits and Luo Feng. Right now, Luo Feng was sitting on a chair. When he walked from his home to the dojo, the attitudes of some of the neighbors and family members of the fighters in the district surprised Luo Feng. They were all extremely passionate, and some even called him Examiner Luo. Luo Feng immediately understood. His identity was exposed. However, he'll be exposed one day, so Luo Feng was mentally prepared. Examiner Luo, let me introduce you. Chairman Zhou Zhengyong laughed. These 3 are the heads of our Jiangnan city's dojo of limits. This is Zhu Getao, this is Wang Kefan, and this is Yusen. Greetings to the examiner, Zhu Getao, Wang Kefan. And Yusen all stood up. No need to be polite. Make yourselves at home. All of you are my seniors. Senior Zhu Getao helped me back then, so I can't thank you enough, said Luo Feng sincerely. He's even met a few existences surpassing the war god level, and even met the world's strongest fighter, Hong. Looking at Zhou Zhengyong, Zhu Getao, and the others, Luo Feng was much calmer and more casual. After a few minutes of conversation, Luo Feng's casual attitude made the 4 tycoons less nervous. Looks like, although this young man was in a high position, he did not have that kind of arrogance. The 4 magnates breathed a sigh of relief. President Zhou, said Luo Feng, of course I'll do what an examiner has to do. As for Jiangnan headquarters city, the dojo of limits affairs will continue as usual. I'm young and don't understand, so I'm too lazy to care. After hearing this, Chairman Zhou and the others were even happier. However, I hope that none of you would do anything out of line. Luo Feng's expression became serious. Since headquarters gave me the position of an examiner, I have to report to my superiors, although he said that, actually, Luo Feng hasn't even read the email about the examiner's responsibilities that the Dojo of Limits sent to his mailbox. Don't worry, Inspector Luo, we won't make things difficult for you. Zhou Zhengyong immediately guaranteed, if anyone goes overboard, I'll teach them a lesson even without Inspector Luo's instruction. It's not that serious. Laughed Luo Feng. I'm an easy person to talk to. It's just that I have a bad temper sometimes. As a young man, please bear with me. I have something that I need Chairman Zhou's help with, said Luo Feng. Please speak. Examiner Luo Feng took in a deep breath and slowly said, my parents were separated from their family during the Grand Nirvana period. I want President Zhou to help me find my parents' cousins, as well as my parents' elders who are still alive. Although his parents were both orphans, Zhou Wenxin was still a young man. Back then, things had been chaotic. His parents had been very young. Who knew if his grandparents were still alive? Frowned Chairman Zhou. This is a bit more difficult, Luo Feng frowned. Chairman Zhou continued. The main thing is that many cities were attacked by monsters during that period of time. The internet was paralyzed, a lot of information was lost, and many people's identities were unknown. So our dojo of limits can't investigate. So we can only investigate through the Chinese government. The Chinese government's information on its citizens is quite detailed. No problem asking the government to help, right? Asked Luo Feng. To the Chinese government, Examiner Luo's face is much more important than mine. Your words are more useful, laughed Zhou Zhengyong. Yeah. However, I'll tell them later. Once they know that this is for Examiner Luo's help, they'll definitely put in a lot of effort. Invincible war god. To one of the 5 great countries, China, it's extremely attractive. Yeah, nodded Luo Feng. The examiner just took office. According to the rules, we have to hold a large welcoming banquet for the examiner. When the time comes, we'll invite all the important figures in Jiangnan City, including politicians, businessmen, fighters, and so on. Even some important figures in China will probably come, said Zhou Zhengyong. I wonder, when does the examiner think we should hold it? Luo Feng froze. Taking office as an examiner is a big deal, so of course it has to be grand. What's the point of hiding? Luo Feng knew that this was the rule. How about this, since I just got home, I'll be quiet for a while. Yeah, on the 1st of next month, which is September 1st, we'll hold the banquet and welcome all the guests, said Luo Feng. Returning home in glory. The first day back in Mingyue sector was too lively. At night, Luo Feng, Chun Gu, Zhang Ku, and many other friends gathered for dinner. It was 11 o'clock at night. Everything was quiet. Luo Feng sat on the sofa in the audiovisual room and held a cup of tea as he looked at the large screen on the wall of the audiovisual room. On the screen, this mail from headquarters described the many responsibilities of an examiner. Yeah, that's pretty easy, nodded Luo Feng. Beside him, a dark blue helmet was placed on the sofa. Luo Feng picked up the dark blue helmet. When using this consciousness sensor at home, the most important thing is protect yourself, because once you put on the dark blue helmet, your consciousness will enter the virtual space. If someone tries to assassinate you, it'll be troublesome. However, no one dares to do that in the fighter sector of the headquarters city. But the instructions still remind you to be careful of your own safety. This consciousness sensor helmet also has a security system that can detect if someone is entering the surrounding area. Other people are afraid of safety, but I'm not, laughed Luo Feng. Luo Feng smiled, and a black membrane immediately extended from his body. With the protection of the black god set, what's there to worry about? Safe range, 5m x 5m. Luo Feng set it up so that the door and windows were locked. Once someone enters the safe range, Luo Feng's consciousness will be automatically kicked out of the virtual space. Whoosh! Luo Feng directly put on the helmet, and the black god set covered the dark blue helmet. He sat cross-legged on the floor like a black statue, entering the virtual space. The Palace of War Gods is in the virtual space, so the Spirit Reader basics can only be read in the virtual space. P.S. That's the 2nd chapter. Continue writing the 3rd. Chapter 170. This was a quiet, gigantic room. Luo Feng, who was wearing a simple white robe, suddenly appeared in this room. What a huge room! Luo Feng couldn't help but to exclaim. With a glance, the length of the entire room was over 50 meters, the width was around 20 meters, and the height was 5 meters. In other words, the area of this room was over 1,000 square meters. In the center of the room was a gigantic round bed that had a diameter of 3 meters. In front of the bed was an indoor swimming pool that was 10 meters wide and 20 meters long. Bed, swimming pool, desk, chairs, luxurious dining table, reclining chairs, training area with yoga mats. The gigantic empty room that was over 1,000 square meters was divided into many sections in an orderly manner. Hee, Luo Feng let out a smile. Welcome, War God Luo Feng. An electronic voice suddenly rang, scaring Luo Feng. This is your private room in the Palace of War Gods. Other than yourself, no one else can enter your room, The electronic voice echoed around the room. The electronic voice echoed in the room. In the War God Palace, you can order whatever you want to eat or drink. There are many delicious dishes that can't be found in reality. Luo Feng froze? Selling food and drinks? There are 2 books on your desk. One is Palace of War Gods Rules, and the other is Spirit Reader Basics. Have fun in the Palace of War Gods. The electronic voice disappeared. Have fun, laughed Luo Feng. Is this Palace of War Gods a place for war gods to have fun? The desk was closest to the window. The entire southern side of the room was filled with gigantic floor-to-ceiling windows. Luo Feng stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling windows and looked at the beautiful scenery outside. Wonderland. Luo Feng looked outside through the window. The outside was vast and boundless. Clouds filled the air, and the sun shone through the clouds, reflecting 7 different colors of light. It was beautiful and dreamy. Even though he knew that this was a virtual space, this 100% virtual space gave him the same feeling as reality, which made him shocked. Let's take a look at the Spirit Reader Basics instruction manual first. Luo Feng walked back to the desk. There were 2 books on the desk. One of the instruction manuals had a black cover, and the words Palace of War Gods Rules were written on it. The other book's cover was black with specks of starlight, as if it was as mysterious as the starry sky. On it were 6 large words, Spirit Reader Basics. This instruction manual is worth 3 stars. It's even more expensive than an Emperor-level auto jet. Luo Feng picked up the instruction manual and started reading. Psychic power originates from a person's spirit and soul. The body is the foundation of the spirit. Psychic power can only be nurtured in the human body and become strong. Because of the special relationship between the physical body and the psychic power, once the psychic power touched the body of a human or animal, it would directly pass through. Therefore, psychic power cannot directly attack the enemy's body. It must rely on a medium, such as a sword or concealed weapon. Seeing this, Luo Feng couldn't help but to nod. Indeed, for example, when he was running, he used his spirit power to add external force, which was usually used on the shield, the bottom of the boots, the arm guards, and other objects, but not on his clothes. Why? This was because from a molecular point of view, the combat uniform still had a lot of holes. When the tiny particles of psychic power were applied to the clothes, many of them would naturally pass through the holes and through the human body. It could exert a certain amount of force. However, it was probably only a tenth of the strongest. On the other hand, it was 100% effective when used on shields, boots, and other places. Spiritual force can be both real and fake. Real can contain a shocking amount of power, control objects through the air, and kill the enemy from 100 meters away. Fake can silently enter a person's soul and kill the enemy without a sound, gather without a sound, change without a trace. All spirit readers are split into 3 types. The first type, control objects through the air to kill the enemy. The second type, enter the enemy's consciousness and attack. The third type, taming. Luo Feng continued to read. About half of the book was introduced in detail to the first type, control object through the air to kill the enemy. The remaining half mainly described the second type, enter the enemy's consciousness to attack. As for the third type, taming, it was described the least. When Luo Feng carefully read the first type, control objects through the air to kill the enemy, a paragraph of text made his eyes light up. Spirit readers who specialize in controlling objects, when their strength increases, can be split into spiritual force, weapons, and technique. This book mainly talks about technique. A spirit reader's strength, in terms of technique, mainly depends on how many weapons he can control at the same time and how much power he can maintain. For example, a spirit reader, an intermediate-level war god-level spirit reader, can control a throwing knife with a force of up to 160,000 kilograms. He can control 5 throwing knives, and each one is 160,000 kilograms. That's a total of 800,000 kilograms of force. Then what if he can control 10 throwing knives at the highest level? That's a force of 6 million kilograms. What if I can control 20 daggers at the same time and each dagger reaches its maximum value. That's a force of 2 million kilograms. If he can maintain his strongest attack and control more throwing knives, then this spirit reader will naturally be able to unleash more power. Next, I'll focus on how to control more throwing knives and maintain the power of each throwing knife at the highest level. After reading this, Luo Feng was completely stunned. Yes, control the number of throwing knives. That Phantom Demon Catalan is only an intermediate level war god level spirit reader. Yet he can control 9 daggers at the same time, and each dagger has its strongest attack. And Luo Feng, who's already at the peak of the advanced level war god level, can only control 6 throwing knives. The number of throwing knives he can control is too low. Each of my throwing knives can maintain a force of over 500,000 kilograms. 6 of them is over 3 million kilograms of force. If I can control 10 throwing knives, over 5 million kilograms? Controlling 20 throwing knives would be over 10 million kilograms. Holy! Even existences surpassing the war god level probably can't block that. Luo Feng was extremely excited. As he read, Luo Feng realized just how difficult it is to maintain the power of each throwing knife at the highest level. To be able to control 6 throwing knives without any special training means that Luo Feng is quite talented. Phantom Demon Catalan trained for dozens of years and only managed to reach the level of controlling 9 throwing knives. However, Phantom Demon Catalan didn't have the Spirit Reader Basics instruction manual to guide him, so he took quite a few detours. On Earth, the number of spirit readers who can control more than 10 throwing knives doesn't even exceed one hand. 20 throwing knives? This is a level that all spirit readers on Earth have to look up to. No wonder this instruction manual is worth 3 stars. And I can only see in the virtual space, Luo Feng became more and more excited as he looked. Looks like it's hard to raise the level of each throwing knife. But after all, with this cultivation method, as long as I continue to cultivate step by step, I will definitely improve. Asterisk asterisk after reading the controlled object attack section, Luo Feng's blood boiled. He continued reading the mental attack chapter. Oh, in my own sea of consciousness, my spirit power will increase by 1 level. And when your spiritual force seeps into someone else's realm of consciousness, not only will it not be boosted, but it will be suppressed by the opponent's realm of consciousness and become weaker. Luo Feng mumbled. In other words, if you want to go head-on and kill the opponent, you'll have to use your spiritual force to do so. The strength of his spirit power is at least 3 levels higher than his opponent's. When an advanced level War God Spirit Reader's spirit force enters the consciousness of a beginner level War God Spirit Reader, it will be suppressed by the consciousness of a beginner level War God Spirit Reader. On the other hand, the spirit force of an advanced level War God Spirit Reader will have an amplification effect. Only 3 floors higher. Only then could they be killed. What? A normal fighter's spiritual force is also very strong? Luo Feng was shocked when he saw the description below. Ordinary martial artists had no way of telekinesis. However, that doesn't mean they're mentally weak. In reality, powerful fighters mostly have strong willpower and mental strength. For example, an advanced level War God fighter also has a small amount of spiritual force in his consciousness. In terms of quality, it's not much weaker than an advanced level spirit reader. However, the difference in quantity is too great. Mental attacks are very complicated. Clearly, people on Earth aren't very skilled in this area. There are a total of 18 attack methods in the instruction manual. There's Dream, Phantom, Spiritual All, Soul Shaker. Many famous secret techniques. There's a total of 18. The method of killing someone is using a secret technique to distract the opponent and then telekinesis to kill the opponent. First, use a secret technique, then telekinesis. Luo Feng sighed to himself. He was a bit disappointed with this so-called mental attack. However, Luo Feng is still preparing to learn these 18 secret techniques. He continued to read the 3rd chapter, the monster taming chapter. According to the book, one can tame monsters with spiritual force. As of now, There are a total of 9 spirit readers on Earth who have successfully tamed monsters. However, there's only one method recorded: telepathy, a very indirect method of befriending a monster. Luo Feng closed the book. Luo Feng let out a long sigh and walked to the window on the side. He looked at the endless sea of clouds outside. 3 stars, so expensive. Luo Feng let out a smile. However, it's worth it. After reading it, Luo Feng understood why Hong valued this instruction manual so much. You can say that after reading the Spirit Reader Basics, he has a complete understanding of Spirit Reader's training. There's a method to increase the number of throwing knives in the book, as well as the 18 secret techniques for mental attacks. The value of these secret techniques alone was immeasurable. He didn't know how Hong managed to gather all of this. If I had this instruction manual a year ago, then I would probably be twice as strong as I am right now. Then, training to this point, his power is probably twice my current level. Luo Feng looked outside the window at the clouds sea, extremely happy. Work hard on your training. According to the book, an advanced level War God Spirit Reader can control a certain number of throwing knives. Once they reach a certain level, they can directly break through and become an existence surpassing the War God level. I'll focus on controlling objects and support it with a few spiritual techniques, thought Luo Feng to himself. Work hard. Now that he's an examiner, he can relax a bit and focus on training in this controlling object technique. Who knows when he'll be able to break through to the War God level. Time to go see the other War Gods. All the War Gods on Earth are in this Palace of War Gods. I wonder how many there are. Luo Feng was curious. Just how many War Gods are there on Earth? P.S. 3 chapters completed. I fulfilled my promise. How many throwing knives can Luo Feng control in the future? Waha. Tomato. Pull the monthly votes and recommendation votes. If you have monthly votes, vote for monthly votes. After you vote for monthly votes, vote for recommendation votes. Hee. Chapter 171. Luo Feng stood in front of his desk and opened the black cover of the rules of the Palace of War Gods. There was only one piece of paper inside. Welcome to the Palace of War Gods. The Palace of War Gods was created by the combined efforts of the first chairman Hong and the second chairman Thunder God. All of the War Gods and existences surpassing the War God level are members of the Palace of War Gods. The management level of the Palace of War Gods is the Palace of War Gods Council. Only existences surpassing the War God level have the right to become a representative, and the council has 5 chairmen. They are the first chairman, the second chairman, all the way to the 5th chairman. These 5 people are the 5 most powerful fighters on Earth. In other words, the Palace of War Gods is split into 3 levels: normal members, representatives, and chairmen. In the Palace of War Gods, there is a market, auction hall, arena plaza, tower of trials. There are many functions waiting for you to discover them yourself. Just this short piece of paper. After reading it, Luo Feng laughed and walked towards his closet. He changed into a set of casual clothes and left his room. Following the corridor, they naturally arrived at the outer wall of the Palace of Gods of War. This outer wall corridor was 9 meters wide. Standing on the wall-like corridor, they leaned on the wall and looked down. Below was the gigantic plaza of the Palace of War Gods. There were a total of 9 arenas in the plaza. What about outside the plaza? Rumble. The dark waves crashed against the plaza's walls again and again. The gigantic Palace of War Gods was like a gigantic palace floating on an endless black ocean. Who designed this? On the other side of the Palace of War Gods are endless clouds. And on this side is an endless ocean. Luo Feng shook his head. Hello, a voice rang from behind. Luo Feng turned his head. The one who spoke was a tall white man. He smiled as he extended his hand. My name is Fra Luo D. Luo Feng. Luo Feng smiled and shook his hand as he complimented. Your Chinese is not bad. Thank you for your compliment, Fra Luo D smiled. Mr. Luo Feng, you seem quite young, and this is the first time I've seen you in the Palace of War Gods. Fra Luo D, don't talk about other things, but I know 99% of the War Gods on Earth. Mr. Luo Feng probably hasn't been here many times. Luo Feng looked at the person in front of him with surprise. No 99% of the gods of war on Earth. Perhaps it was an exaggeration, but it also showed how confident the person in front of him was. This is my first time here. Luo Feng smiled. Oh, the first time. Vladi raised his eyebrows, and a mysterious smile appeared on his face. There will be a surprise later. Surprise? While they were talking, Luo Feng and Vladi, these two war gods, had already reached the spiral staircase leading to the first floor. Luo Feng and Vladi were on the third floor, which was around 10 meters away from the first floor. The height of the first floor was around 30 meters, and the length and width of the first floor exceeded 100 meters. This hall was much bigger than an average school's playground. In such a large hall on the first floor, there were a large number of sofas and chairs. There were at least a few thousand chairs, and now there were about 1,000 people sitting in groups of 2s and 3s, drinking and chatting. So many war gods. Luo Feng couldn't help but hold his breath. To be able to enter the palace of war gods, one had to be at least a war god. And the largest number of war gods he's seen since he was young was in the elite training camp, where he only saw a few dozen war gods. And in Jiangnan headquarters city, it's rare to even meet a single war god. Mr. Luo Feng, war gods are usually scattered all over the place, so it's rare to meet other war gods. So many war gods often come to the palace of war gods to drink and chat, which counts as making friends, said Vladi. Okay, Luo Feng couldn't help but to nod. This is the gathering place of all the war gods on Earth. As they walked down the spiral staircase, Luo Feng looked around. In the entire hall below, other than the war gods chatting, there were also a few extremely beautiful waiters. There were about 100 of them, and they served these war gods. And on the wall of the hall, there was a gigantic display screen. On it, there was a number, 3,515. What does this 3,515 mean? Luo Feng was confused. Huh! At this time, Luo Feng and Vladi also walked down the stairs. When Luo Feng stepped on the shiny floor tiles of the first floor, the entire first floor suddenly darkened. The originally soft and comfortable lighting suddenly became dim. The soothing music from before also instantly disappeared. Luo Feng was confused, but Vladi let out a smile on his face. Whoosh! All the war gods that were chatting all looked towards the stairs. After glancing past Vladi, they all looked towards Luo Feng. Dang! Along with a crisp sound that seemed to make one's soul tremble, a loud, passionate, and joyous music filled the entire hall. The music echoed throughout the entire hall. In this luxurious hall, close to 1,000 war gods from all over the world stood up. Some of them even started clapping. Among them, there are those that work for the government. Among them, there are special people that hide in the darkness. Among them, there are mercenaries that fight on the edge of life and death. Among them, there are those that live in seclusion, enjoy life, and teach their disciples. They're the most elite group of people in human society. They're the wealthiest group of people, and they stand at the top of the pyramid of human society. Whoosh! A faint light shone on Luo Feng's body below. The Palace of War Gods welcomes a new war god. His name is Luo Feng. A rough voice that sounded like a god's rang. At the same time that the voice echoed, a 3D hologram appeared above the hall. On the hologram, large 3D words appeared. Name, Luo Feng. Nationality, China level, War God Advanced. 3 simple lines of words. Each word was 3D, as if they were carved from stone. They floated in midair. The total number of war gods in human society has increased by 1, reaching 3,516. At the same time that the thunder-like voice echoed in the hall, the number 3,515 on the gigantic display on the wall jumped to 3,516. At the same time, the passionate and joyous music started to weaken until it couldn't be heard anymore. The light that shone on Luo Feng's body also disappeared. Everything returned to normal. Luo Feng didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He looked toward Vladi beside him. This Vladi definitely knew, but he didn't warn him first. The virtual space automatically introduces and welcomes every war god the first time they arrive, Vladi smiled. Who would have thought that Mr. Luo Feng, even though you're a new war god, you're actually an advanced level war god? It's really admirable. And in the Palace of War Gods, close to 1,000 war gods sat in their seats and started discussing with their friends. Quite a few people were discussing this Luo Feng. There are a total of 3,516 war gods on Earth, and only a few hundred advanced level war gods. It is indeed rare for a new war god to be an advanced level war god. Luo Feng. Luo Feng. A few voices sounded, and 6 silhouettes walked over from a chair in the far corner. Luo Feng looked over in shock. He actually recognized all 6 of them. These 6 people are all teachers from the elite training camp. Even though his teacher Jiang Feng wasn't there, he recognized the others. One of them was war god Yang Hui, who brought him to the training camp. "Teacher Yang, Teacher Wei Te," yelled Luo Feng. "What teacher? You've already graduated, and the one who's actually teaching you is Jiang Feng. Just call us by our names," laughed Yang Hui. The other teachers from the elite training camp also laughed as they nodded. No matter how strong a disciple is, they still have to respect their teachers. However, every student in the training camp only has one teacher to teach them. Luo Feng was taught by Jiang Feng. Now that Luo Feng has graduated and his status is high, only Jiang Feng can be called teacher. Even though the others know Luo Feng, they haven't taught him, so there's no need for that. "Luo Feng, since you've come here, I'll introduce you according to the old rules," laughed Yang Hui enthusiastically. The other teachers also laughed as they stood on the side. "Everyone," Yang Hui's voice suddenly rose and resounded throughout the entire hall. The close to 1,000 war gods drinking and chatting in the hall all turned their heads. Seeing that it was Yang Hui and the others, they all looked with interest. Actually, war gods without a bit of background wouldn't dare to make such a big fuss in this sort of situation. "Let me introduce everyone," laughed Yang Hui loudly. Yang Hui laughed loudly. "The one next to me is the new supervisor of Jiangnan Headquarters City, appointed by the head of the Dojo of Limits himself." Wah! An uproar. The Dojo of Limits is the most powerful martial arts organization on Earth. Just by looking at their organization, aside from the head Hong, who is the strongest fighter on Earth, there are 8 existences surpassing the war god level under his 3 guards and 5 investigators. You can say that the elites of the Dojo of Limits are the strongest. For a normal organization, it's already pretty good to have one war god in charge of a headquarters city. And the Dojo of Limits has many powerful fighters. To be an examiner in a large headquarters city like Jiangnan Headquarters City, you have to be someone with a lot of weight, even among the advanced level war gods. Not only that, but the highest levels evaluation of Brother Luo Feng is Invincible War God, smiled Yang Hui. Everyone needs to get closer to Brother Luo Feng. After these words were said, the entire hall boiled over. Invincible War God? There are only a few hundred advanced level war gods on Earth. Those at Liao's level are only around 100 people, and those at Phantom Demon Catalan's level are less than 50. As for those who have a right to be called Invincible War God, there are only around a dozen people. Of these people, their blade techniques have reached a terrifying level, or their technique, or their spiritual force. Basically, they all have their own invincible techniques. Each and every one of them is an important figure on Earth. Luo Feng, laughed Yang Hui quietly towards Luo Feng. You won't blame me, right? Luo Feng laughed. He knows the rules. In order for the higher-ups of the Dojo of Limits to control the situation, they usually take the initiative to advertise. For example, the evaluation of Invincible War God is a form of publicity, and the evaluation of the highest level of the Dojo of Limits has a lot of credibility in the entire world. Come, let's go sit over there, laughed Yang Hui. Luo Feng, the food and drinks here are definitely delicious, top-notch delicacies, said the other war god teachers on the side. In the Palace of War Gods, the war gods from the Dojo of Limits naturally formed a group, and the entire hall was filled with discussion. Quite a few people looked at Luo Feng in a different light. Luo Feng, Invincible War God? His appearance in the Palace of War Gods will definitely let the entire world know about it as soon as possible. P.S. End of Chapter 1. Chapter 172. In a corner of the hall. Luo Feng, what do you like to eat? Since it's your first time here, it's on me. Yang Hui smiled as he took the menu from the waiter and gave it to Luo Feng. Oh, Luo Feng curiously took it and opened the entire menu. Every type of wine and dish was described in Chinese and English. At the back, the prices were written in Earth, Chinese dollars, US dollars, euros, rubles, Russia, and rupees, India. A cup of wine costs around $100,000. What dragon liver costs $880,000? Normal dishes are okay. Around 100,000 Chinese dollars each. Luo Feng was shocked. He couldn't help but to smile towards the war gods beside him. Everyone, this is my first time here in the Palace of War Gods. But I have to say, the food here is quite expensive. The food and wine in the virtual space are all virtual. Who would have thought that the price would be even higher than in the real world? It is, but there's nothing we can do about it, Brad. The war god teacher shook his head and sighed with slightly awkward Chinese. There's only one place in the entire Palace of War Gods that sells food and drinks. Otherwise, you wouldn't have a place to buy it. However, even though it's the food and wine in the virtual space, it's 100% virtual, so it feels the same as eating in real life. If you don't want to fill your stomach and just want to eat, then it's worth it. Normal war gods can spend over $1 million Chinese dollars just by ordering some food and wine. If it's a sumptuous banquet, it'll probably cost over 10 million Chinese dollars. Only the wealthiest group of people on Earth, the war gods, can afford to spend like this. Normal rich people probably wouldn't dare to be so extravagant. For war gods, even if they work for an organization, it's normal for them to earn 5 billion Chinese dollars a year. No matter how expensive the food here is, war gods can still afford it. For example, Luo Feng, a powerful fighter at the peak of war gods, killing a Tyrannosaurus or steel armor dragon level monster is worth around 10 billion. Who cares about food? The taste is indeed. Luo Feng couldn't help but to compliment. In terms of taste, how can the real world compare to the virtual space? Laughed Yang Hui. Luo Feng asked everyone. I've always been curious. How many representatives are there in the Palace of War Gods? As long as they're representatives, then their existences surpassing the war god level. 52 representatives in total and 5 chairmen, laughed Ji Tao on the side. 52 representatives? That many? Luo Feng was a bit shocked. Is it a lot? The god of war, teacher Werther on the side, shook his head. Under the 5 chairmen, there are only 52 representatives. Based on the world's population of 7 billion, there was less than 1 in 100 million. Among them, there are already 8 of our dojo of limits, 3 personal guards, and 5 investigators. There's also the Thunder Dojo. Even though they have less people than us, they still have 6 representatives under Thunder God. There are also 7 or 8 counselors who are unwilling to be subordinates and have established a mercenary army. There are also 5 to 6 worshipped by the HR Alliance. In total, there are about 26 to 30 counselors. Werther shook his head as he spoke in Mandarin. Then there are the remaining 20 or so counselors from the 5 major countries and 23 base cities. Furthermore, some of the counselors were extremely aloof and lived in seclusion, ignoring any organizations. For example, how many do the 5 major countries get? Luo Feng understood. The Dojo of Limits, the Thunder Dojo, the Mercenaries, and the HR Alliance made up more than half of the council members. Countries that are truly loyal to their country, like China, have 3 or 4 counselors. That's not bad, laughed Yang Hui. Of course, a country's power cannot be underestimated. Yang Hui laughed. Of course, a country's power can't be underestimated. For example, our Dojo of Limits investigator is a Chinese citizen. Even though we belong to the Dojo of Limits in name, if China asks for help, we'll still help. Luo Feng nodded. A representative may be worshipped by the HR Alliance or a mercenary army, but that doesn't mean they won't help their country in times of need. After all, it's their country. So on the surface, a powerful country only has 3 or 4 counselors. But unknowingly, a powerful country can easily gather 7 or 8 counselors. Luo Feng, How about we go to the Palace of War Gods market later? The items in the Palace of War Gods are much cheaper than the ones outside, suggested Yang Hui. Luo Feng's heart skipped a beat as he said, "There's an auction house here, right?" Of course, there is. Ji Tao held a glass of wine on the side as he said excitedly. The monthly auction is quite interesting. Over 90% of the war gods in the world will come. You have to know, no matter how big the auction house is, it's hard to gather all the powers in the world. Only the Palace of War Gods can do it. Luo Feng nodded. All the headquarters cities, especially the continents, are separated by oceans. The only way to get around is by commercial planes, which is troublesome. The War God Palace was a place where experts from all over the world gathered together. Auctioning here is the most effective. That's why there are many special items. Yang Hui explained, we can also put things up for auction, but there are conditions. The lowest value of the auction item is 1 billion Chinese dollars, and there is no upper limit. Is there an elixir of life? Luo Feng asked directly. In the first 7 months of this year, life water has been available for 5 months, Yang Hui introduced. If I remember correctly, there will be life water in this month's auction as well. Luo Feng was overjoyed, followed by doubt. So much life water? Didn't the American government want to show that the water of life was scarce? Why is the American government auctioning so much life water? Asked Luo Feng curiously. The water of life is precious only in the outside world. Yang Hui smiled disdainfully. In the second half of this year, there will be an open auction for all martial artists. There is only one portion of life water, but this is the Palace of War Gods. There are large amounts of items being auctioned in the Palace of War Gods every month. Items worth billions or even tens of billions are everywhere. If the American government only sells one portion of life water a year, how much money would they make? The outside world doesn't know about the auction in the Palace of War Gods. If they sell more, wouldn't they make more money? Laughed Yang Hui. Luo Feng nodded. How much did the previous auctions cost? Asked Luo Feng. The starting price is 10 billion Chinese dollars, and the final winning price is around 20 billion Chinese dollars per portion, laughed Yang Hui. Then the open auction might be able to sell for 30 billion. But no one in the Palace of War Gods is dumb. No one will buy it if it's any more expensive. Luo Feng was secretly happy. Different social circles have different things. The Palace of War Gods gathers all the war gods on Earth, so it is indeed a huge consumer market. For example, if the American government wants to use the life water to make a lot of money, they just have to sell it in the Palace of War Gods. When is the auction this month? Asked Luo Feng. There's still a few days left. It'll be auctioned on August 15th, said Yang Hui. This auction happens once a month on the 15th of every month. Luo Feng nodded. August 15th. His brother can finally stand up. There's only a few more days left. In the lobby of the Palace of War Gods, people would occasionally come down the stairs. Which one is Luo Feng? An old man with white hair walked to a group of friends and sat down as he asked quietly. In the south, sitting with Yang Hui and the others, a strong bald man said in a low voice. See, those war gods from the Dojo of Limits are all talking to that Luo Feng. Ever since Luo Feng was exposed, people from all over immediately notified their own people. That young man, the old man with white hair, looked carefully and nodded. His aura isn't normal. Look at his eyes. The eyes are the window to the soul. If a normal person's spirit is good, their eyes will be very bright. And if their spirit is low, their eyes will be muddy and dim. And as a spirit reader, when they're hidden, their eyes are as deep as an unfathomable abyss. And when they're angry, just one look is enough to make a weak fighter tremble. So spirit readers usually have a special aura, which is caused by their exceptionally strong spirit. Find a time to get in touch with him, the old man with white hair said quietly. In the future, if we have any difficulties, we can ask him for help. Oh yeah, when I came here, I checked the Dojo of Limits and asked the government for help to find some of Luo Feng's parents' relatives. This is a good chance to get in touch with him. We should also help. Okay, the other fighters nodded. With Luo Feng's help, many things in our 11th division will be much easier. The old man with white hair let out a smile. Luo Feng was evaluated as an invincible war god by the highest level of the Dojo of Limits. This news spread extremely quickly. Li Yao and Vanina, who were far away in Europe, were also notified by their friends. In the lobby of a quiet villa, Li Yao and Vanina were quietly waiting. "Will that senior see us?" Vanina said quietly. "Definitely." Li Yao's gaze was cold as he stood there. Vanina sighed as she saw this. Ever since the battle on Misty Island, Li Yao has been drinking like crazy and hysterical. After he sobered up, Li Yao sank into hatred and was always thinking about revenge. Even the way he looks at people makes them feel fear. But they don't have the ability to kill Luo Feng. "You too," an old man wearing a suit said coldly. "The master is upstairs, waiting for you." Li Yao and Vanina's spirits shook. After that, they went up the stairs to the second floor. The old man in the suit said coldly, "Follow me." He directly brought the two of them to a quiet room. After opening the door, the old man in the suit silently walked away. Li Yao and Vanina both took a deep breath before entering. The quiet room was empty. There was only the faint fragrance of sandalwood in the quiet room. A white-haired old man was sitting cross-legged in the quiet room. His long hair had already reached his waist, and his entire body was like a piece of dead wood, without any trace of vitality. Senior Li Yao bowed. Representative Yan Vanina also bowed. "Sit," a low voice carried over. The old man with white hair opened his eyes and looked at Li Yao and Vanina. This old man's eyes were cloudy, as if he was an old man who was about to die. He didn't have the aura of a powerful fighter at all. However, Li Yao and Vanina didn't dare to be slow at all. Li Yao directly kneeled on the ground and fiercely kowtowed as tears flowed down his face. "Little vulture, what's going on? What made you cry?" The old man was very calm. "Senior," Li Yao clenched his teeth and said in a low voice, "My only son was killed by a young man named Luo Feng. I want revenge for my son. However, I, Li Yao, am useless. This Luo Feng already has the power of an invincible war god. I'm not his opponent at all. But my son..." Li Yao's fists were tightly clenched. His fingers dug into his palms, and his entire body was slightly shaking. "My parents died when I was young, so I don't have any relatives. I don't care about anything else in the world but my son." Vulture Li Yao's voice started shaking. He was very cruel, earning him the nickname Vulture. That was also because of the special experiences he had during the Grand Nirvana period, which made him cruel and selfish. However, deep in his heart, he desperately longed for his family. His only son, his only obsession. After 20 years of nurturing, that feeling has already entered his heart. The more cruel, selfish, and cold a person is, the crazier they will be when they value a relationship. Because this is their only obsession. "I beg, Senior, to kill this Luo Feng. I am willing to be your servant for the rest of my life to repay you." Li Yao kowtowed and buried his head on the ground. The old man silently looked at Li Yao. Li Yao just buried his head on the ground and waited for the old man's reply. Vanina, who was on the side, also kept kowtowing. "You and I are friends. Speak. Who is this Luo Feng?" said the old man in a low voice. Li Yao's head was still buried in the ground as he replied. "Luo Feng, peak of the advanced level war god, level spirit reader, 19 years old, from Jiangnan headquarters city, Yangzhou City. Right now, he's one of the upper echelons of the Dojo of Limits, and was appointed as the examiner of Jiangnan headquarters city." The old man slightly frowned. "I can't help you," said the old man in a low voice. Li Yao fiercely raised his head and looked at the old man in disbelief. In his heart, this was the last straw. He and this powerful fighter experienced the Grand Nirvana period together, so they have a special relationship. Li Yao is a selfish, cruel, and arrogant person, so he's never begged this senior like this before. Because of Hong, Li Yao couldn't help but to ask. Yes, the old man didn't hesitate at all. Even though he's very powerful and even fought for the position of chairman before, he failed. However, no one on earth is Hong's opponent. Hong is a god high above, looking down on all powerful fighters. Maybe only the second chairman, Thunder God, is a bit weaker than Hong. The other three chairmen don't even have the courage to attack Hong, let alone Yan Hai. Even though he has a special relationship with Liao, he wouldn't go so far as to offend Hong. A 19-year-old invincible war god. Even an idiot can guess how important Hong is to him. Liao's fists were clenched so tight that crackling sounds could be heard. His knuckles were pale, and fresh blood was flowing out of his palms. He stared at the old man in extreme pain. Seeing this, the old man seemed to have seen the crazy youth from back then during the Grand Nirvana period and sighed in his heart. "You want to kill Luo Feng, even at the cost of your life?" said the old man in a low voice. "Yes," Liao's voice was determined. "Then break through to the war god level and become an existence surpassing the war god level," said the old man indifferently. "That way, you'll have a chance to kill him. Of course, you'll have to face the wrath of Hong. Maybe Hong values talent and will let you live. But maybe he'll kill you out of anger." Liao's eyes were determined. "Please guide me, Senior. This is my miscellaneous cultivation notes. It contains my cultivation methods, and, at the same time, it also contains my experience in breaking through." The old man took out a handwritten book from his bosom. "I hope it can be of help to you." He tossed it over. Liao caught it. "Remember, break through and become an existence surpassing the war god level. The key is your spirit and willpower." The old man closed his eyes. "You guys go." Liao and Vanina both kowtowed in gratitude and left. P.S. 2 chapters finished. Chapter 173. In the martial arts hall, Luo Feng, who was wearing a loose white robe, sat cross-legged on the soaring shuttle. He maintained a distance of 0.5 meter from the ground as he floated in midair, and Luo Feng's eyes were as deep as the ocean as he silently stared at the 12 soaring shuttle blades floating in front of him. As he willed, a total of 12 silver-gray blades began to flutter around him, as if they were dancing. It was like 12 spirits circling Luo Feng. If one were to record the trajectories of these 12 blades, they would discover that it was a very intricate and complicated maze pattern. What was strange was that the speed of the 12 blades would sometimes accelerate and sometimes decelerate. They crisscrossed over and over again. It looked like they were about to collide, but they just didn't. The blades flickered, sometimes slowing down and sometimes surpassing the speed of sound. Gee, 2 of the blades brushed against each other. It failed. Luo Feng, who was floating in midair, had a calm expression. However, he couldn't help but to let out a smile. "My talent seems to be pretty good. I just started, and I can already demonstrate the second picture of the celestial deity catalog. However, it's really difficult to complete the entire second diagram in 2 seconds. It's only challenging if it's difficult." The celestial deity catalog is a training method for the spirit reader basics that is related to the object manipulation spirit reader. There were a total of 99 diagrams, but according to the secret manual's description, the strongest spirit reader on Earth could only perform up to the 18th diagram. Luo Feng was very confused. If that's the case, where did the rest of the catalog come from? Training the celestial deity catalog sure is tiring. Luo Feng shook his head and yelled loudly, "Activate the projection!" Suddenly, the projector in the training hall shot out a beam of light, shining on the white wall, and a huge computer screen appeared. "Video chat," yelled Luo Feng. "Connect to Su-Xin." Due to the video on the screen had already started sending out requests. "It's almost 10 o'clock in the morning. It's summer right now, so Su-Xin should be able to go online, right?" Luo Feng waited for around 0.5 minute before the video call connected. Hua! On the huge screen on the wall, Su-Xin appeared. She was wearing pajamas and holding a steaming cup of coffee. Her hair was loose, and she seemed a little sleepy. "Luo Feng." Su-Xin struggled to open her eyes. "No way. It's 10 a.m. right now, and you're still sleeping?" laughed Luo Feng in shock. "What 10 in the morning? It's night time now," Su-Xin said helplessly. "Night?" Luo Feng was stunned. Su-Xin seemed to wake up a little and said, "I'm in Marikan now, not in China. Although it's morning in China, it's already night here." Luo Feng realized. "Ah, Luo Feng." Su-Xin looked at Luo Feng in shock through the video, Looking at the background behind you, it's not some desolate place like Australia. When Luo Feng was in the continent of Australia, he chatted with Su Xin before. However, that was through his tactical communications watch, and the places he saw were mostly caves, mountains, and barren places. "I'm back, in Jiangnan headquarters city," laughed Luo Feng. "Come back." Su Xin was even more surprised. "Didn't you say you were going to stay in Australia for a month? If I knew you were going back, I wouldn't have come to America." Su Xin seemed to be a bit unwilling. Indeed, ever since Luo Feng went to the elite training camp, the two of them haven't seen each other in real life. They've been video chatting. If Su Xin knew Luo Feng was coming, why would she go to America? "You miss me that much?" teased Luo Feng. "Tisk." Su Xin scrunched her nose and acted like she didn't care. She immediately changed the topic. "How long will you be back this time?" "I'll be in America for around a week. After that, I'll be able to fly back with my family's team. When I go back, my parents want me to attend an important banquet. It's on September 1st. They say it's to welcome the new examiner of the Dojo of Limits in Jiangnan headquarters city. I already started school that day, but my parents forced me to attend." Luo Feng blinked. "Seems like Su Xin still doesn't know who this new examiner is." "The new examiner is quite impressive." "Su Xin, do you know who the new examiner is?" said Luo Feng as he held back his laughter. "I don't know. The examiner should be some extremely powerful fighter. What does that have to do with me?" Su Xin didn't seem to be interested in talking about the examiner and said, "Oh yeah, this time I came to America, I had a stomach full of anger. Luo Feng, you don't know, this time August 15th, the Palace of War Gods will hold an auction on the 15th of every month. And on this day, over 90% of the war gods in the world will gather and participate in this event. China time, 1945. Virtual space, Palace of War Gods Auction Hall. The layout of the auction hall was similar to an opera house. It was circular in shape. In the center of the auction hall was an item display, and around the display were large amounts of seats. There were a total of 5,000 seats. At this time, the auction hall was already filled with people. The war gods were chatting in groups of 3 to 5. The melodious music reverberated throughout the auction hall. Luo Feng, Luo Feng. Over here, when Luo Feng, who was wearing simple casual clothing, entered the auction hall, quite a few war gods from the Dojo of Limits waved their hands and passionately shouted, "Hello, Mr. Luo Feng, Mr. Luo Feng." As he walked in the hallway of the auction hall, war gods sat on both sides of the seats. Some are black-skinned, some are yellow-skinned, and some are white-skinned. The war gods from all over the world were clearly very friendly towards Luo Feng. Luo Feng also smiled and nodded. Soon, he arrived at a large area of the Dojo of Limits. Vast and mighty, the number of war gods in the Dojo of Limits is indeed vast. They took up a large area. Looking at it with the naked eye, there are at least a few hundred people. As expected of the world's #1 elite power, they have the most war gods and representatives, thought Luo Feng to himself. Luo Feng saw a beautiful silhouette wearing purple and walked over. "Teacher Jiang Feng, Luo Feng." "HM?" Jiang Feng smiled as she looked at the student in front of her. She thought that Luo Feng's blade technique was pretty good, but she didn't think that her student's most shocking aspect was his spiritual force. Now that he became an invincible war god in an instant and became the examiner of a large headquarters city like Jiangnan headquarters city, Jiang Feng couldn't help but to feel that the world was changing too quickly. There were also differences in status among inspectors. Large base cities had a population of 2 to 300 million, while small base cities had a population of no more than 100 million. There were 5 superpowers and 23 base cities in the world, making a total of 52 base cities. The total human population was about 7 billion. On average, a base city had a population of more than 100 million. The Jiangnan base city was a large-scale base city. "Luo Feng, sit here," smiled Jiang Feng as she pointed to the side. "Okay." Luo Feng also sat on the side. "After the auction ends, I'll introduce you to the other war gods of our dojo, including you." There are 3 invincible war gods in our dojo, smiled Jiangfang. In a corner of the auction hall, the vulture-scorpion couple sat there. Luo Feng's here. Vanina looked towards the distance. Looks like he's quite popular, laughed Li Yao coldly. Li Yao laughed coldly. Right now, Li Yao's usual gaze and demeanor could be said to be unapproachable. Some of the war gods sitting next to Li Yao were old acquaintances with Li Yao, but when they saw Li Yao's current demeanor and gaze, they couldn't help but frown. The auction hall was filled with people. Over 3,000 war gods appeared in the auction hall. Everyone, the entire auction hall swiftly quieted down, and the music disappeared. Whoosh! A light shone on the center stage. A Chinese man and a Caucasian man stood on the stage. One of them spoke in Chinese, and the Caucasian man spoke again in English. On the 15th of this month, we meet again, smiled the Chinese man. The Caucasian man also repeated himself. The two of them waved their hands. Suddenly, large amounts of various items appeared around the center stage. There were a lot of them, but they disappeared after a short while. There are a total of 71 items in this auction, smiled the Chinese man. Maybe there's something here that everyone wants, so I won't say much. I will now officially announce the start of this auction. The first item is a piece of art. It's a famous painting created by Vincent van Gogh in 1890, Portrait of Dr. Gachet. The starting price is 1 billion Chinese dollars. As soon as the Chinese man finished speaking, a gigantic painting appeared in the air above the auction hall. It slowly rotated in the air so that every war god could see it. Below the stage, where the war gods of the dojo of limits were gathered, Luo Feng couldn't help but to be shocked when he heard the first item. Teacher Jiang, even antiques and paintings are being auctioned? Of course, Jiangfang lowered her voice and said quietly, "This auction in the Palace of War Gods is the world's largest auction. War gods aren't the only ones participating. Behind the war gods, there are many organizations and powers. Therefore, all kinds of rare treasures would be brought here to be auctioned. Only the best of the best have the right to be auctioned. Normal antiques and paintings can't even reach the starting price of 1 billion Chinese dollars. Luo Feng nodded. Actually, the Grand Nirvana period was a terrifying blow to many antiques and paintings. Many antiques and paintings were lost or damaged during humanity's escape. So now that human society has settled down in the form of a headquarters city, the prices of these antiques and paintings have become much higher. The sixth item is an A-grade genetic medicine. There are 10 of them in one set. The starting price is 2 billion Chinese dollars. Luo Feng listened on the side and didn't make a single move. Finally, the 39th item is an elixir of life. The starting price is 10 billion Chinese dollars. As this voice rang, the calm Luo Feng's eyes flashed. A test tube of the elixir of life appeared in the air above the auction hall. It's finally here. Luo Feng's eyes locked onto the projection of the elixir of life in midair. P.S. Chapter 1 has arrived. Chapter 174. The elixir of life has a global market, but the demand isn't high. Since there aren't many crippled fighters who can afford it, the American government sells a certain amount of the elixir of life every year to make money. 11 billion. A voice rang from a corner of the auction hall. Whoosh! A war god's projection immediately appeared on the stage in the center. This war god even had a smile on his face. Immediately, the people in the auction hall began to discuss in a low voice. 5 billion, another voice rang. Another voice rang out, and the god of war projection on the central stage disappeared, replaced by another black god of war projection. 12 billion. As the voice faded, a person's projection appeared on the stage. It was a Chinese youth who looked very young. It was Luo Feng. Suddenly, the suppressed discussions became louder. Many people were filled with curiosity towards this new war god, the invincible war god, Luo Feng. 12 billion going once, yelled the Chinese man on the stage. The white man on the side also yelled. 12 billion going twice. One portion of elixir of life is currently priced at 12 billion. Any higher bids? Yelled the Chinese man. In the past, elixir of life could usually be sold for around 20 billion Chinese dollars. Below the stage, Luo Feng was shocked and asked quietly, "Teacher Jiang, why isn't anyone bidding anymore?" Jiang Feng slightly smiled, which made her seem very beautiful. She said quietly, "Luo Feng, there are only a dozen or so invincible war gods on Earth, and this is your first time bidding. This is your first time, so everyone will give you face. Unless they really want it, they usually won't compete with you. The Palace of War Gods is a place for war gods to make friends. Other war gods won't easily offend the invincible war gods or the extremely powerful war gods like Phantom Demon Catalan. For example, Luo Feng's first-time bidding would be too inconsiderate. 12 billion going thrice. Congratulations, war god Luo Feng, laughed the Chinese man. In a corner of the auction hall, the vulture-scorpion couple watched with a cold expression. "Why are you pulling me?" Vanina looked towards her husband unhappily. Vanina was about to bid just now. "Umph." Vulture Liao sneered and said quietly, "It's just a portion of elixir of life. What's the point of raising the price?" He wouldn't buy it if it was too expensive, but he could still contact the American government to buy it. At most, he would have to pay a few billion more. There's no need to let Luo Feng notice us just for a few billion. Right now, this Luo Feng is very satisfied. Let him be. Wait for my breakthrough. Liao's voice was very low. Vanina could not help but nod. Yeah, the vulture-scorpion couple can't afford to mess with Luo Feng right now. They haven't returned to their home in Jiangnan headquarters city and have been staying in Europe. They want to lay low. Prepare to deal with Luo Feng in the future. The water of life is finally mine. Luo Feng was excited. Maybe in terms of value, the soaring shuttle is hundreds to thousands of times more valuable than the elixir of life. However, when he obtained the soaring shuttle, his heart was more filled with curiosity and anticipation. He was not as excited as he was now. 12 billion isn't much to the current Luo Feng, but the water of life. This meant that her brother could stand up. He could live like a normal person. I've finally succeeded. Luo Feng's emotions surged. I'll see if I can get a second one later and give Brother Zhang one too, thought Luo Feng to himself. Luo Feng thought to himself. Back then, because of his grudge with Zhang Zehu's squad ambushed his squad, causing Zhang Ke to lose his arm. When he faces Brother Zhang, he always feels guilty. Now that he has the power, getting a portion of the water of life is indeed nothing to him. What's more, he originally planned to buy one for 30 billion. Now that he only spent 12 billion for one, if he gets another, it won't be much more than 30 billion. Items were auctioned off one by one. Even though the efficiency was high, there were 71 items. Even if each item took 2 to 3 minutes, it would still take around 3 hours. Now for the 58th item, the spider web left behind by the Spider Emperor level monster, the Black Widow Spider King, Golden Web 8. 3 meters long, 1 meters wide. The starting price is 5 billion Chinese dollars. Following the Chinese man's voice, a huge golden web appeared on the stage. 6 billion Chinese dollars, 7 billion. This time, the price seemed to be quite high. Luo Feng, who originally didn't want to auction it, couldn't help but to yell, 8 billion. Because of his battle with Li Yao, Luo Feng originally planned to order a set of SS-grade fishing nets, which he estimated to cost around 20 to 30 billion. However, after discovering this golden net, Luo Feng was extremely satisfied. The golden web was left behind by the Spider Emperor level monster, the Black Widow Spider King. And the Black Widow Spider King is famous for its poison, not its web. The golden web it spits out usually can't trap an Emperor level monster, so it's a bit weaker than the SS grade fishing net. However, it's better than the 9th series fishing net. Among the spider-type monsters, there are a total of 2 Emperor level monsters. One is the Grice Spider King, which is famous for its web. Once caught by its web, even an Emperor level monster will have a hard time surviving. The other is the Black Widow Spider King, which is famous for its poison. Once hit by its poison, even existences surpassing the war god level will be poisoned to death. At this time, the spirit of nature, the 100-dew grass, comes in handy. Of course, the Black Widow Spider King can also make a web, which is called the Golden Web. It's a bit weaker than the Grice Spider King's web. Even though the Golden Web can't trap an Emperor-level monster, an Emperor-level monster would have to expend a lot of energy to escape. Using it to deal with War God and Horde Leader-level monsters is a piece of cake. Luo Feng was very satisfied. Its toughness is worse than the SS-grade material. However, it's much more comfortable to use. 9 billion 9, 5 billion inch this time. Nobody cared about Luo Feng anymore. It's fine as long as they give him some face. 9, 6 billion 9, 8 billion inch. The war gods raised their bids by a very small amount. 10 billion, yelled Luo Feng. The figure in the air above the booth also turned into Luo Feng's. Jiang Feng said quietly on the side, Luo Feng, a net made from SS-grade materials, is only worth around 20 to 30 billion. This net can't exceed 12 billion anymore, and it's not worth it. 10 billion going once, 10 billion going twice, 10 billion going thrice. Congratulations, War God Luo Feng. The Chinese man reported the final result. This auction lasted for around 3 hours. Luo Feng got an elixir of life and a golden web for a total of 22 billion Chinese dollars. After the auction ended, Luo Feng was dragged by a group of war gods from the Dojo of Limits to the lobby and got to know some of the famous war gods from the Dojo of Limits. Hello, Mr. Luo Feng. When Luo Feng left his seat and was about to return to his room, a white man with a big beard smiled as he walked over. Hello, Luo Feng was a bit confused. My name is Aurora, the person in charge of America's 11th sector. The elixir of life that Mr. Luo Feng bought was provided by me, smiled the white man with a big beard. How about we go to the side and have a drink? Luo Feng couldn't help but to think. The elixir of life that he provided? Oh, sure, smiled Luo Feng. Luo Feng smiled. Big-bearded Aurora on the side couldn't help but to laugh happily. Usually, there are way too many people at Luo Feng's level who want to befriend him, so Luo Feng rarely pays attention to most people. Aurora used the water of life as an excuse to get closer to Luo Feng. Both sides sat down and had quite a happy conversation. Mr. Aurora, can I buy another portion of elixir of life from you? Said Luo Feng. Oh, the elixir of life belongs to the government, so I need to submit an application. Aurora was a bit hesitant. I will make it hard for you. I'm willing to pay 20 billion inch, said Luo Feng. Oh, laughed Aurora. Mr. Luo Feng is a friend of mine from the 11th sector. Even though it's a bit troublesome, don't worry, leave it to me. I'll give you another portion of elixir of life based on the 12 billion Chinese dollars you sold it for before. How could he let Luo Feng pay 20 billion? After all, an official auction usually only costs around 20 billion. So only a low price can establish a relationship. Thank you so much, smiled Luo Feng. Only an idiot wouldn't save 8 billion with just one sentence. Yangzhou City's Mingyue sector. Morning. The hot August morning was still quite cool. Fighters could be seen exercising in the sector. Luo Feng was also taking a walk in the sector, breathing in the fresh air and adjusting his body. Uncle Wang, morning. As Luo Feng walked, he smiled and greeted people he knew. Mr. Luo Feng, a voice rang. Luo Feng turned his head and saw 2 youths run over. One of them was even carrying a backpack. After running in front of Luo Feng, the youth with slightly curly hair said, Mr. Luo Feng, these are the 2 items you bought from the Palace of War Gods. Your fingerprint has been verified, so you can open the alloy box. As he said that, he took out a completely black alloy box from his backpack. Thanks, Luo Feng's eyes flashed as he received the alloy box. His finger brushed past the lock and the alloy box opened. Inside were 2 sealed test tubes with instructions on the side. Inside the test tubes was a faint green liquid. This is it. Luo Feng took in a deep breath and headed towards his living quarters. In the villa's courtyard, his little brother Luo Hua was sitting in his wheelchair as he looked at the flowers in the courtyard. His pants were empty, which made one's heart ache. Feng, you're back so early? His mother Gong Xanlon smiled as she walked out of the house. Yeah, nodded Luo Feng. Feng, you're back. Honghua, let's eat breakfast, yelled Gong Xanlon. His father, Luo Hong, also popped his head out of the house and looked. He couldn't help but to look at the alloy box in Luo Feng's hands with shock. Feng, how come there's an extra box when I went out for a walk this morning? Gong Xian Lan glared on the side. Old man, you have to ask everything Luo Hua. Luo Feng looked towards his little brother, Luo Hua. HM? Luo Hua looked towards Luo Feng with shock. Brother, what's up? Enter the house. Luo Feng let out a smile. From today onwards, get ready to throw away the wheelchair. Luo Hua's expression froze. Brother, Luo Feng raised the alloy box and patted the surface of the alloy box. It's that. Luo Hua's eyes were wide open, and his body was slightly shaking. His eyes almost instantly became moist, and his hands that were originally holding onto the wheelchair were also shaking. Luo Feng nodded. Seeing his brother nod, Luo Hua's tears flowed down. This day, Luo Hua has only dreamed of this day since he was young, and today, he waited for it. This day, Luo Feng has been waiting for this day, and it's finally here. Don't cry, smile. Luo Feng couldn't hold it in, and his eyes became moist as well. P.S. Part 2 War God Luo Feng has finished. Part 3 will begin tomorrow. At this moment, let's pull the monthly votes. Use the monthly votes to welcome Part 3. Chapter 175. Recently, not only has Mingyue Sector's Luo Feng become a household name in the sector, but almost everyone in the sector around Lotus Pond Park knows about him. Lotus Pond Park is right next to Mingyue Sector. It's a free park. Back then, Luo Hua and Xiao Nin met each other in this park. This park is extremely busy, and it's an important place for news to spread. News about Luo Feng was mainly spread from here. Legends about Luo Feng. First, there's a special triangular fighter jet parked in Mingyue Sector. Apparently, Luo Feng bought this fighter jet. According to the evaluation of some knowledgeable people, the price of an ordinary military fighter jet exceeded 1 billion. And that was because there were a lot of them. And fighter jets that dare to fly in the wilderness usually cost over 10 billion. Only a small portion of war gods are willing to buy them. As for this seemingly special fighter jet, it's probably even more expensive. Many residents in the sector thought about the meaning of 10 billion Chinese dollars and were stunned. Second, that Luo Feng apparently became the examiner of Jiangnan Headquarters City's Dojo of Limits. What kind of position is an examiner? He's even more powerful than the president. In the entire Jiangnan Headquarters City, there aren't many people with a higher position than him. Even a mayor of the headquarters city and the general of the army have to be polite to him. When mentioning a person of this level, you have to give him a thumbs up. Third, there are two famous disabled people in Mingyue Sector. One is the genius fighter Luo Feng's brother, Luo Hua. He once jumped into a lake in Lotus Pond Park to commit suicide. Back then, the disabled person jumped into the lake to commit suicide. But after being talked about for a long time in the park, this disabled person actually recovered. He grew out 2 legs. As for the other disabled person, he's called Zhang Ke. He's a warlord-level fighter, which is quite admirable. However, many people saw that Zhang Ke's arms were perfectly fine. Later on, news spread from Mingyue Sector that these 2 disabled people, Luo Hua and Zhang Ke, received extremely precious medicine to regrow their arms and legs because of Luo Feng. These 3 legends caused people to talk about it. Of course, many people were envious of Zhennan's parents. Back then, Zhennan's parents tried to stop their daughter from getting married and even caused Luo Hua to commit suicide. But now, Zhennan's parents happily accepted Luo Hua. Apparently, Luo Hua even bought a villa in Zhennan's parents' sector. It made people sigh. Zhennan's parents were just ordinary people. Who would have thought that they would be able to turn things around so quickly? However, everyone knew that everything was because of the mysterious person, Luo Feng. He was only 19 years old, but he was already standing at the top of the Jiangnan Bay City. He would be a big shot even if he looked at the entire world. Especially after they found out that Luo Feng doesn't seem to have a girlfriend, many people in the surrounding area became suspicious. Marrying Luo Feng's brother was already so glorious. If she could marry Luo Feng himself, then many generations of people would be able to live a good life. Mingyue District, one of the training halls on the first floor of the limit hall. Luo Feng, who was dressed in his dojo uniform, sat cross-legged on the soaring shuttle as he floated in midair. The 12 blades were like bees that crazily danced around Luo Feng. Sometimes they slowed down, sometimes they sped up. These 12 blades seemed to be playing with each other as they frequently crossed each other. Perhaps they were just 0.01 seconds away from touching each other. Done! Luo Feng let out a look of joy. The 12 blades floated in midair. Luo Feng lowered his head and looked at his tactical communications watch that had its timer on. 3.08 foot flashed by. Passed. The second picture of the celestial deity catalog is finally complete. Luo Feng was filled with joy. Next time, I'll start practicing the third picture of the celestial deity catalog. Actually, Luo Feng's spiritual force almost succeeded in practicing the second picture, so he only needed a few days to succeed. The third picture and every picture after that are the true tests. Golden net. Luo Feng looked towards the golden net that was bunched together in the corner of the training hall. This golden net, under Luo Feng's gaze, started to float and then quickly spread out. Originally, it didn't look big when bunched together, but when spread out in the training hall, it was shockingly huge. 3 meters long and 1 meters wide. It was made up of densely packed golden threads that were about 5 millimeters thick. Cover. Luo Feng's thoughts moved. The golden net immediately covered the ground like a magic carpet. Cover. The golden net was like a palm that directly covered the fist strength testing machine. To use the golden net, you need speed. Luo Feng thought to himself, if I want to use the golden net to cover Li Yao, I need to be fast enough to control the golden net. Clearly, the speed of controlling the golden net can't compare to the throwing knives and soaring shuttle blades. Since the surface area is too large, the resistance is shocking. For the entire morning, Luo Feng was on the first floor of the limit hall, in his personal training hall. Actually, the limit hall was quite spacious, so very few fighters wanted to train. Therefore, the chairman Zhou Zhengyong and the 3 directors took the initiative to arrange for people to modify one of the training halls on the first floor of the limit hall. They also sent over a lot of equipment to make a training hall that was big enough for a war god to train in. This training hall also became Luo Feng's personal training hall. Hey Mom, is dinner ready? Luo Feng smiled as he pushed open the door and entered the house. Soon. In the kitchen, Gong Xianlan was personally cooking with a housekeeper helping her. His mother, Gong Xianlan, doesn't have many hobbies. She usually likes to cook, but because her days are too leisurely, the other women in the sector play mahjong with her, so her days are quite uncomfortable. Luo Feng looked around the living room. His father was sitting on the sofa, watching the news on TV. Brother, you're back. A man and a woman walked out of the bedroom. The young man's face was slightly pale, and he was rather thin and weak. But as he stood there, his tall stature made him look very handsome. The girl he was holding hands with, in front of Luo Feng, revealed a reserved smile. They were Luo Hua and Zhen Nan. Nan's here, Luo Feng smiled as he nodded. Luo Hua, you have to accompany Nan for a walk this afternoon, got it, brother? Luo Hua nodded with a smile. All right, brother. I have a lot of photos of girls here. Someone asked Xiao Nin to bring them to you. Are you interested? There are quite a few beauties. Luo Feng was shocked. All right. In the kitchen, his mother, Gong Xianlan, stuck her head out and shouted, Little Feng, when I went to the park to exercise this morning, there were a lot of matchmakers. I also have a lot of photos, and there are a lot of outstanding girls. I'm quite satisfied with a few of them. Luo Feng rubbed his head. Ever since he came back, there have been too many of these things. Mom, didn't I tell you to stop talking about these things? Luo Feng shook his head with a bitter face. Brother, it's not a bad thing to get to know these girls. Other people don't even have the chance to get to know these beauties. Every single one of these girls is outstanding. If they weren't, they wouldn't have the confidence to hand over their photos. Luo Hua raised his eyebrows. Io. Luo Hua looked towards his girlfriend, who just got pinched. Luo Feng shook his head. Dad, Mom, Luo Feng turned his head. I won't be eating at home tonight. I have something to do in the afternoon. Around 4 p.m. that day, Luo Feng rode his auto jet from Yangzhou City to the main sector. After stopping the auto jet on the rooftop of the dojo of Limit's headquarters, Luo Feng rode the dojo of Limit's car to the airport. Luo Feng was wearing a pair of jeans and a black t-shirt. However, there was also a black vest inside the black t-shirt. This black vest was transformed from the Black God set, and inside the black vest were the 365 blades of the soaring shuttle. These 365 blades were separated and spread out. First, it's convenient to carry. Luo Feng can wear the vest at any time, which means he's carrying his strongest weapon, the soaring shuttle. Second, it's also safe. In terms of defense, the Black God set may be powerful, but according to the manual, the soaring shuttle's material is even more amazing than the Black God set. It's here Luo Feng raised his head. A dark blue light pierced through the air and stopped in midair. It was indeed a large passenger plane. This large passenger plane slowly descended and stopped after a while. HUA, the cabin door opened and a flight of stairs automatically extended out. Luo Feng and the other 5 walked over to receive the plane. Those who can directly go to the parking area to receive the plane all have some status. Including Luo Feng, there were only 6 of them. The passengers on this flight, along with the others, were waiting outside at the exit. Exit. Luo Feng raised his head and looked. Among the many passengers walking down the stairs, there was a girl wearing a light green t-shirt and denim shorts. She completely attracted Luo Feng's gaze. Under the cool summer clothes, Su Xian's figure was also revealed. Along with the education she received since she was young, her unique aura made Su Xian even more attractive. In high school, Su Xian was like the girl next door. When she was the manager of the bar on the first floor of the HR Alliance, she felt like a woman in the workplace. Luo Feng admitted that he was attracted to Su Xian ever since he was in his first year of high school. As she walked down the stairs, Su Xian also looked down. When she saw Luo Feng, she couldn't help but to let out a smile. The passengers walked down one by one. When Su Xian walked down, she directly walked towards Luo Feng. Her smile was bright. "I thought you wouldn't come. Since when have I ever gone back on my word?" laughed Luo Feng. Su Xian, a voice carried from behind. Luo Feng couldn't help but to look over. The person who walked over was a young man that looked like he was in his 20s. His clothes and shoes were clearly expensive, and a watch on his wrist also seemed to be a famous brand. The smile on his face naturally gave off the vibe of a superior person. Luo Feng couldn't help but to ask Su Xian in a low voice, "You're from the Su family?" "Not really," said Su Xian in a low voice. This young man glanced at Luo Feng. Luo Feng's clothes were very normal, just like any other university student on the street. The young man smiled elegantly and extended his hand. "Hello, my name is Sun Chao. I wonder if you're Su Xian's." "Ah, Luo Feng." A happy voice rang. Luo Feng turned his head and saw Su Xian's brother, Su Gang, who was wearing a shirt and pants, laughing loudly as he ran over. He looked at the young man beside him and laughed. "Who would have thought that I'd see Luo Feng right after returning to the country? Haha, I'm so happy. Ah, Sun Chao, let me introduce you. This is my sister's boyfriend, Luo Feng. P.S. Chapter 1 has ended." Chapter 176. Boyfriend. Su Xian's eyes widened as she looked at her brother, Su Gang, on the side. Doesn't her brother know that she and Luo Feng aren't in a relationship yet? Boyfriend. Luo Feng's expression was weird as he remained silent. He had a good impression of Su Gang. Even though this brother-in-law is a bit too serious about his status, he can't be too harsh on him. Luo Feng was quite annoyed when they first met. But honestly speaking, Su Gang did that for his sister's sake. And now, he's actively pushing for Luo Feng and Su Xian's relationship. It's not bad to have such a smart brother-in-law. Luo Feng, Su Gang laughed. "When we first met, I, Su Gang, also offended you. I hope brother-in-law can give me some face." In the blink of an eye, Luo Feng's status rose from Su Xian's boyfriend to brother-in-law. "Brother." Su Xian couldn't help but to yell. Ah, Su Gang yelled, "My sister is shy." Luo Feng, "I'll treat you guys later. I'll be leaving with Uncle Bo and the others now. We won't disturb you guys." As he said that, he grabbed Sun Chao's arm. Sun Chao, let's go. Let's not disturb their world. Sun Chao's expression was stiff and awkward, and he was dragged away just like that. Sun Chao and Su Gang walked out of the airport and left in 3 cars with the rest of the family. Inside the limousine, Sun Chao and Su Gang sat in the back. Su Gang wasn't as happy as before. Instead, he calmly glanced at Sun Chao. Sun Chao, don't mess around with my sister in Luo Feng's matter, or else. We grew up together. As your brother, let me remind you that the highest levels of the Su family fully support my sister in Luo Feng's matter. Even if your dad protects you, you won't have a good life in the future, said Su Gang in a low voice. Su Gang said in a low voice, the matter between my sister and Luo Feng is the most important matter in the family right now. Sun Chao was silent and didn't say anything. After a while, Sun Chao finally spoke. Su Gang, that Luo Feng. Could he be Luo Feng from the Dojo of Limits? You know about him? Laughed Su Gang. 2 days ago, when I was overseas, my dad talked to me on the phone and mentioned this Luo Feng. He said that Luo Feng is doing very well in the palace of war god. Sun Chao let out a long sigh. What you said at the airport just now really pissed me off. However, I felt like I've heard the name Luo Feng somewhere before. I didn't remember until I got in the car. Su Gang glanced at him with a smile. Do you still want to fight for my sister? Fight my ass. Sun Chao glared at Su Gang. Your sister never cared about me and didn't give me any face, but I didn't care at that time. I thought it was because I didn't spend much time with Su Xin, so I came over from abroad with you guys. But who would have thought that Su Xin's boyfriend would be this Luo Feng? If I really fight for it, I'm afraid my dad will break my legs. Sun Chao's father is a war god. He was a war god who was a guest of the Su clan. Because of his father's status, Sun Chao was qualified to manage a small part of the Su family's business in America. Sun Chao was very clear that even his father couldn't compare to this Luo Feng. Would he dare to mess with him? Stealing someone else's girlfriend, and stealing Luo Feng's girlfriend at that. Would he want to die? You too. Why didn't you tell me that Su Xin had a boyfriend like this, said Sun Chao unhappily. You're blaming me? I've been so busy with my family's business in the United States. I've only met you 3 times in the United States. How would I know that you came back to chase after my sister? Didn't you say before that you missed home and wanted to see your parents? Su Gang glared. Sun Chao was speechless. Isn't that just an excuse? I came back for nothing. Whatever, I could go back and see my parents. As for Su Xin, she doesn't have the heart. Sun Chao felt a chill from the bottom of his heart when he thought about Luo Feng's legend. Damn, Luo Feng is an invincible war god. Killing him is as easy as eating or drinking. Around 8 p.m., night fell. The dim light from the street lamps illuminated the concrete streets. Luo Feng and Su Xin walked side by side. They ate dinner together, and now Luo Feng is sending Su Xin home. The rich are really different. The land in the Bay City is so scarce, but the rich live in such a quiet place with so few people. Luo Feng laughed. If this was any other residential area, the streets would be filled with cars and people. There are very few people in the wealthy district here. Su Xin glanced at Luo Feng speechlessly. You said rich family? You have no money? All of our family's liquid assets, added up, doesn't even amount to that auto jet of yours. Even though the Su family is one of the 12 big families in the country and have a lot of money, most of it is fixed assets and investments. Their liquid assets can't even compare to Luo Feng's auto jet. How do you know about auto jets? Luo Feng was shocked. When they were eating before, Luo Feng already knew that even though Su Gang and the others purposely hid Luo Feng's matter from him, the truth can't be hidden. After the Palace of War Gods auction, Luo Feng's fame grew. Su Xin also found out about this through the HR Alliance's internal forums. Great Inspector Luo, your fighter jet is parked in Minghui District, but there is no pilot entering or exiting. Could it be that you are the pilot? Su Xin laughed. Luo Feng was silent. Pilot? Fighter jet pilots require a long period of training. No matter how talented you are, you can't become a fighter jet pilot without long periods of training. Since Luo Feng isn't a pilot, Some people in the HR Alliance can guess that Luo Feng should be piloting an auto jet. Normal fighters don't know, but the HR Alliance's upper echelons are very clear. An Emperor-class auto jet, even if it's the dojo of Limitz's high-level examiners or investigators, is worth 180 billion Chinese dollars. All the countries in the HR Alliance want to buy it? Sure, they have to pay a high enough price. 200 billion? Dream on. How about we go sit on the auto jet, suggested Luo Feng. Su Xian couldn't help but to be moved, but she looked at her watch. It's getting late, so let's hurry over and sit on the auto jet. By the time we get back, it'll be almost 11 or 12 inch. It'll be quick, smiled Luo Feng, and at the same time ordered, "Number one, come here." "What are you doing?" asked Su Xian in confusion. Luo Feng smiled mysteriously and then raised his head towards the sky. Su Xian also raised her head towards the sky in confusion. A flowing light stopped in midair. It was a dark blue triangular auto jet that slowly descended from midair. Su Xian raised her head and looked at the triangular auto jet in midair. Her mouth opened wide in shock, so fast. The auto jet's maximum speed is over 10 times the speed of sound. "As long as we're on Earth, I can give orders from far away," smiled Luo Feng as he pulled Su Xian's hand. "Let's go. Let's go up." Immediately, blade after blade emerged from Luo Feng's neck. The 365 blades swiftly formed a soaring shuttle. Luo Feng stepped on the soaring shuttle and held Su Xian's hand with one hand and her waist with the other. Whoosh! The soaring shuttle flew upwards, and the hatch of the auto jet in midair automatically opened. This. Su Xian looked below in shock. She's flying? After that, Su Xian realized that Luo Feng was hugging her. Luo Feng hugged Su Xian's waist and pressed his body against Su Xian's. He could feel the warmth of Su Xian's soft body. He couldn't help but to lower his head and look at Su Xian. With an impulse in his heart, he lowered his head and kissed her. As the wind blew in midair, Su Xian felt a bit dazed. Her first kiss was taken away just like that. Their lips parted. Luo Feng lowered his head and looked at the blushing Su Xian and said softly, "From now on, you, Su Xian, are my Luo Feng's girlfriend." "You're so domineering." Su Xian couldn't help but to glare. "What if I don't agree? I'll let go and let you fall." Luo Feng had a smile on his face and purposefully loosened his grip. Su Xian's body shook and jumped in shock. She looked at the trees and streets below and couldn't help but to say, "Be careful. We're at least 70 to 80 meters from the ground. You still dare to refuse?" Laughed Luo Feng. "Humph," Su Xian snorted as she laughed. "You haven't confessed in such a long time, so I thought you didn't dare to." Indeed, Luo Feng and Su Xian often video chat for 1 to 2 hours. Even though the two didn't say it out loud, they talk like they're a couple. All they're missing is a confession. "Because I wasn't strong enough in the past. I didn't want you to be afraid with me," said Luo Feng quietly. Su Xian's eyes slightly reddened and couldn't help but to bury her head into Luo Feng's chest. Just like that, the auto jet floated in midair. Beside the auto jet, Luo Feng hugged Su Xian and stood on the soaring shuttle. After a while, this night was destined to be an extraordinary night. Earth space. Stars dotted the sky. This vast universe was very mysterious. Nobody knew what was in the universe. Whoosh! A golden light swiftly flew over from the universe. With a terrifying speed, close to the speed of light, it flew straight towards Earth. This golden light swiftly pierced through the atmosphere and headed towards Earth. Pacific Ocean. Around a few hundred nautical miles away from the islands known as the Hawaiian Archipelago during the Grand Nirvana period. Whoosh! The golden light directly flew across the sky and fell into the ocean. What was strange was that even though it was falling at the speed of light, it didn't cause any changes to the surface of the ocean. The surface of the ocean continued to ripple just like before. Not only did the surface of the ocean not change, none of the satellites or surveillance devices on Earth discovered this golden light. Deep under the sea, around 3,000 meters under the sea, the golden light had already dissipated. All that was left was an oval-shaped black egg that had a diameter of around 12 meters. On the black egg shell, there were strange golden markings. Keep in mind that the so-called dragon egg on Earth only has a diameter of around 1 meter. At this moment, there was complete silence. All of the satellites on Earth, even the special surveillance devices of the archaeological ruins, were operating just like before. None of them discovered its arrival. P.S. 2 chapters complete. The curtains are beginning to open. Chapter 177. Ever since the Grand Nirvana period, the ocean has always been the territory of monsters. The ocean on Earth is much larger than the land, so the endless ocean gave birth to all sorts of monsters. You can say that if you throw a person into the ocean, no matter how good they are at swimming, they'll probably be eaten until only their bones remain in a few seconds. Pacific Ocean, 3,000 meters deep. The gigantic oval-shaped black egg didn't move at all. Around 12 minutes after it fell into the ocean, a 7 to 8 meter long fish-type monster with green scales swam to the side of the egg and circled around it. This fish-type monster slowly swam. With its simple intelligence, it guessed that the egg in front of it wasn't a rock. Suddenly, the fish-type monster opened its mouth. The teeth in its mouth were huge and sharp, and the 2 rows of teeth were like a saw. It opened its mouth and ferociously bit down on the black egg. Ka! The gigantic fish-type monster shook its head in pain. There were traces of blood in its mouth, and a few broken teeth fell off. Keep in mind that the strength of its teeth is astonishing. With this fish-type monster's teeth, it can easily crush rocks at the bottom of the ocean. Even the corpse of a horde leader-level monster can't break its teeth. Under its fear, the green-scaled fish-type monster swung its tail, and with a chirp, it swiftly left. And the gigantic black egg remained unmoving at the bottom of the ocean. On its eggshell, there were still mysterious golden markings mixed in with the black color. The fish-type monster's terrifying bite from before didn't even leave a mark. Humans on Earth live their lives as usual. Ever since Luo Feng and Su Xian confirmed their relationship, especially since it was summer break, Su Xian didn't have to go to school. This young couple would frequently travel around the world. Every morning and night, Luo Feng trained. In the afternoon was Luo Feng and Su Xian's time. After eating lunch, the 2 of them rode on an auto jet, which could head to any headquarters city in China in a short amount of time. August 26th, morning, Yangzhou City's Mingyue sector, Limit Hall's first floor, Luo Feng's personal training hall. He sat cross-legged on the soaring shuttle as he floated in midair. The third picture, Luo Feng closed his eyes. In his mind, an extremely complicated, maze-like picture appeared. Whoosh, whoosh, xiao. The 13 blades swiftly spun around Luo Feng's body, following the path of the diagram in Luo Feng's head. Because the diagram had a large amount of intersecting parts, so the blades would often crisscross dangerously. Wait, faster, faster. Not good, break. Luo Feng was so nervous his forehead was covered in sweat. One of the flying blades stopped abruptly, and 3 blades flew past its front, back, and side. Speed up. Done. Luo Feng fiercely opened his eyes, and his gaze swept towards the tactical communications watch on his left wrist. The timer on the watch was rapidly jumping. 11 seconds? Although it's slow, it's the first time I've walked through the entire 3rd catalog. But in the middle, I braked and stopped, which delayed me by at least a few tenths of a second. This result is too bad. My time is 11 seconds, but my passing time is 6 seconds. Luo Feng couldn't help but to shake his head. The further he went, the harder it was to reduce time. Finishing in 11 seconds and finishing in 8 seconds doesn't seem to have much of a difference, but the difference in difficulty is huge. As for the passing 6 seconds, that's simply out of reach for the current Luo Feng. The road ahead is long, so he can only take it 1 step at a time. Continue. Luo Feng closed his eyes and tried again. Usually, he can practice it once in a few seconds. Luo Feng has to practice the celestial deity catalog thousands of times every day. You can say that he spends most of his morning training the celestial deity catalog. Usually, he'll be completely exhausted after training. As for his nighttime, Luo Feng spends all of his time on body fitness level, blade technique, agility, etc. The sun was already high in the sky, around 10 a.m. Luo Feng was still immersed in his training. His powerful spiritual force allowed him to continue training. The only tiredness was the tiredness in his heart, since even an invincible war god wouldn't be able to endure thousands of repetitions in the morning without enough willpower. To gain strength, talent is important, but willpower is even more important. Luo Feng opened his eyes and looked outside through the window of the training hall. A dark blue disc-shaped fighter jet was slowly descending from the sky and finally landed on a grass patch in the Mingyue sector. Chief Instructor Wu Tong was leading a few fighters and was welcoming someone. The hatch of the dark blue disc-shaped fighter jet opened and a total of 3 people came out. Sadly, Luo Feng didn't recognize any of them. Who are these 3 people to come to the Mingyue sector? Luo Feng, who was sitting cross-legged on the soaring shuttle, slightly frowned. To be able to ride this fighter jet, they must have some status, since Uncle Wu didn't tell me to go receive them. They probably aren't that important as of now. Luo Feng is the examiner of Jiangnan headquarters city and has the strength of an invincible war god. There are very, very few people who can make him go receive them. Continue. Luo Feng closed his eyes and continued to train the celestial deity catalog. Luo Feng was very clear that his talent allowed him to reach the peak of the advanced level war god level like a rocket. However, now that the dark golden ball has shattered, he can't rely on talent to break through from the war god level to the existences surpassing the war god level. He can only work hard step by step. Many people are stuck at the advanced level war god level and don't know what to do. However, Luo Feng knows a path suitable for a spirit reader. Celestial deity catalog. Even though he needs to train countless times, every little bit of improvement brings Luo Feng closer to his breakthrough. Beep, beep, beep. After who knows how many times, his tactical communications watch suddenly rang. Luo Feng opened his eyes and looked at his tactical communications watch. The alarm is ringing. It's already 11:45. Time to go back and eat lunch. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The soaring shuttle immediately transformed into countless curved blades that flew into Luo Feng's black armor through his neck one by one. Luo Feng landed on the ground. Luo Feng's gaze flashed across the fist strength tester machine. I haven't tested my body fitness level in half a month. Let's test it. After the private training hall was built, Luo Feng tested himself once. However, Luo Feng, who used the dragon blood and thousand-year willow heart, only absorbed a portion of it. There's still a lot of the dragon blood's energy and the thousand-year willow heart's life force hidden within his body. When Luo Feng trains, these energies are all quickly absorbed. So Luo Feng's improvement has been astonishing. Fist strength. Luo Feng turned on the fist strength tester machine. Pong! Luo Feng's fist was like a shooting star as it smashed into the fist strength tester machine. The fist strength tester machine fiercely shook. This fist strength tester machine that Chairman Zhou and the others gave him was a top-notch machine. Beep! 239,881 kilograms. A number appeared on the screen. Luo Feng let out a smile. Not bad. I'll probably reach 256,000 kilograms after 1 or 2 more months of training. Recently, his body fitness level has indeed increased at an astonishing rate. No wonder even Hong said that Luo Feng continuously used the dragon blood and the thousand-year willow heart, so there's no need for him to use any other treasures. As long as he absorbs this energy, he'll be able to increase his strength at an astonishing rate. Speed. Luo Feng turned on the speed tester machine and stood on the 80-meter-long track. Whoosh! Luo Feng sped up like lightning. The first step he took instantly broke through the speed of sound. After that, he continuously sped up and reached his limit after around 8 or 9 steps. Just like that, he turned into a blur as he flew past the speed tester machine and swiftly slowed down before stopping. 583. 6 meters per second? Luo Feng mumbled as he looked at the number. Not bad. As for his reaction speed? As a spirit reader, does he even need to be tested? He's definitely at the peak of the advanced level war god level. In another 1 or 2 months, my body fitness level will reach the advanced level war god level. In another 2 years, my body fitness level will reach the peak of the advanced level war god level. Luo Feng was wearing a loose dojo uniform as he walked out of the training hall. Ka! The training hall's door automatically closed. Examiner Luo, in the hallway outside the training hall, a young man was smiling as he slightly bowed. The commander is waiting for Examiner Luo in the meeting room. Commander? Where's the commander? Luo Feng asked curiously. He doesn't seem to know any commander. The commander of the southeast sector, smiled the young man. Let's go, nodded Luo Feng. However, he was shocked inside. As of now, every headquarters city has a military sector around it. However, most military sectors that belong to the headquarters city are called military divisions. For example, the northern military sector of Jiangnan headquarters city is a military division, and the southeast sector is different. This southeast sector was mainly created to deal with the sea monsters that invade the land from the East Sea. It's a large military sector. A large military sector's military strength is several times stronger than a military division's, not to mention the weapons they have, which are even more shocking than a military division. In the conference room, the moment Luo Feng stepped into the meeting room, he immediately saw the 3 people inside. One of them was a middle-aged man with a strand of white hair. He sat there straight, his gaze as sharp as a leopard's. Next to him was a middle-aged man wearing glasses. The third person was the hall master, Wu Tong. Hello, Mr. Luo Feng. The middle-aged man stood up. The glasses man beside him also smiled and stood up. Hello, Luo Feng was a bit confused. However, he still had a good impression of them, because he recognized them as the 3 people who had flown over in the saucer fighter. It was obvious that the other party had been here for almost 2 hours, but he did not disturb his cultivation. Instead, he waited quietly. Just this alone was enough for him to give the other party face. Luo Feng. Wu Tong smiled and said, "Let me introduce you. This is Commander Li Daowei of the Southeast Military Region. Beside him is Deputy Commander Wang Luo Han, Deputy Commander Wang." Luo Feng nodded. As the commander of a large military region, the commander of the Southeast Military Region was a general of the army, which was the highest military rank in China. And regular military divisions, like the commander of Jiangnan headquarters city's Northern Military Region, had the rank of Major General of the Army. Just for military ranks, one can imagine the difference in power between a large military region and a military division. To be able to command the Southeast Military Region, this Li Daowei is definitely a big shot in China's military. And this big shot actually came personally. And he would rather wait for almost 2 hours than disturb Luo Feng's cultivation. P.S. Chapter 1 has ended. Chapter 178. A spirit reader at the peak of the advanced level war god level? Not normal indeed. When Luo Feng just entered, Commander Li started observing this legendary genius. The Luo Feng in front of him was wearing a normal dojo uniform and had beads of sweat on his forehead. An invisible force spread out with Luo Feng as the center. That force was like that of a ferocious beast. Commander Li and Deputy Commander Wang were both shocked. What they didn't know was that Luo Feng was too tired from practicing the celestial deity catalog thousands of times in the morning. That's why his spiritual force wasn't perfectly converged and a lot of it leaked out. Everyone chat. I'll be leaving first, laughed Wu Tong. Thank you. Head Wu Li Daowei and Wang Luo Han watched Wu Tong leave. Even though Li Daowei and Wang Luo Han have high statuses, Wu Tong is still under the command of the Dojo of Limits. The Chinese military still maintains a friendly attitude towards the people of the Dojo of Limits. Commander Li, Vice Commander Wang. Let's sit down and talk, smiled Luo Feng as he sat down. Li Daowei and Wang Luo Han also smiled as they sat down. Li Daowei smiled. I've long heard of Mr. Luo Feng's name. In the Palace of War Gods, I've seen Mr. Luo Feng from afar. However, after seeing you face to face, I realized that Mr. Luo Feng's aura is even more extraordinary than when you were in the Palace of War Gods. If Commander Li compliments me again, I'm going to fly, laughed Luo Feng. That's not a compliment. It's admiration, laughed Commander Li. I'm 62 this year, and I'm only an intermediate level war god. This is the peak of my life. And according to our military's intelligence, Mr. Luo Feng, you once defeated 4 advanced level war gods, Phantom Demon Catalan, Blood Shadow Ethan, Great Bear Kata, and Vulture Liao. 3 of these 4 had a Black God set. This battle record is simply shocking. The highest level of the dojo of limits evaluation of Mr. Luo Feng as an invincible war god matches Mr. Luo Feng's strength. As a fighter, I indeed admire Mr. Luo Feng. After hearing this, Luo Feng didn't get dizzy. However, to be honest, when people hear praises, especially from someone with a high status like the commander of the Southeastern Military Sector, they feel happy. However, Luo Feng can only say that Luo Feng didn't work in the government. To be able to sit in the commander position of a large military sector, other than his ability, he definitely knows how to behave. These simple words made Luo Feng have a good impression of him. After all, Li Dawei and Wang Luohan were very clear that although their positions in China's military were very high, and Li Dawei was even a commander of a large military region and a general of the army, they were not as powerful as Wang Luohan. However, Luo Feng is an examiner of the Dojo of Limits, and the Dojo of Limits is the strongest and most elite force on Earth. He had a transcendent status. Although it had yet to establish a country, none of the 5 great countries dared to provoke it. Instead, they were willing to befriend it. They wanted to ask Luo Feng to do something, so of course they had to flatter him and make him feel better. Otherwise, if Luo Feng kicked them out, even if they were the leaders of the military, they wouldn't be able to do anything to Luo Feng. Mr. Luo Feng, if you don't mind, I'll be thick-skinned and call you Luo Feng. Don't call me Commander. Just call me Li Dawei, Old Li, or Brother Li, laughed Li Dawei. Haha, I'll just call you Old Li. Luo Feng laughed. Old Li, since you've come this time, just speak your mind. Actually, the Dojo of Limits gave Luo Feng a mail regarding the responsibilities of an examiner. It explained what an examiner has to do and what he has to face. All of that was mentioned. Luo Feng had some vague guesses as to why these 2 came. All right, I'll be straightforward. Li Dawei's expression was slightly solemn. Although our human society has powerful fighters and laser cannons, the power of the monster race is too strong. It's not that I'm trying to boost their morale. In terms of a number of experts among these monsters, even the monsters on land have more than us humans. Li Dawei shook his head and sighed. If it weren't for our laser cannons, how could human society live peacefully in the base cities? Luo Feng creased his eyebrows and listened quietly. The humans and the land monsters are in a stalemate. We won't use the laser cannons to deal with the King-class monster. King-level beasts would not participate in the beast strikes. Both sides have a tacit understanding. Li Dawei sighed. Actually, the tacit understanding between the 2 sides was when your head, Hong, went to negotiate with the king-level monsters. Luo Feng froze. Humans negotiate with monsters? Hong went to negotiate? The monsters on the ground and in the sky can't fight against us too well. Last year, China had 1 level 1 monster tide, 6 level 2 monster tides, and 21 level 3 monster tides. All of this is within the range of what China can handle, said Li Dawei casually. Luo Feng was shocked. These numbers were all confidential, so Luo Feng didn't know about them. He didn't think that the country would suffer such attacks every year. The most dangerous thing to our country are the monsters in the sea. Li Dawei's expression was serious. The powerful sea monsters are in the depths of the sea. Even the laser cannons can't threaten them. And the number of sea monsters is way higher than the number of land and flying monsters. How could they submit and negotiate? And when human fighters enter the sea, they probably only have 20% to 30% of their strength left. We can't even attack, said Li Dawei as he shook his head. Luo Feng silently nodded. Humans are indeed much weaker in the water. Even that lake on the Misty Island almost killed him. Not to mention the vast ocean. Humans can't even attack the monsters in the sea. We can only passively defend. Li Do-wei had a sad expression on his face. The sea monsters can follow the rivers and kill their way into the land. The sea monsters have strange abilities. As long as there's enough of them, they can create their own rivers. So we humans can't just let them come in. We have to rely on our location, our laser cannons, and our army to defend. We'll suffer huge losses. Li Do-wei shook his head. Even if we kill hundreds of millions of sea monsters at once. Who knows how many monsters are born in the sea every day? The monsters in the sea fight amongst themselves like the big fish eating the small fish. Many of them die every day. Whether we kill them or not doesn't affect the entire sea monster horde. Li Do-wei was helpless. Luo Feng also felt helpless. Indeed, monsters would also kill each other. The strong would eat the weak. The sea monsters that humans kill don't affect the entire sea monster horde at all. So I'm asking you, Luo Feng, to occasionally help our southeast military sector deal with some of the stronger sea monsters. Don't worry, Emperor-level monsters don't dare to enter the rivers. Our laser cannons are waiting for them, said Li Do-wei, an invincible war god. In a battle against monsters, he's sometimes even more effective than an army of 100,000. All right, I accept. Luo Feng didn't hesitate at all. The battle between humans and monsters is a battle for the survival of the race. So he should help. Thank you, said Li Do-wei gratefully. An invincible war god and a spirit reader. In a battle against a sea monster horde without an emperor-level monster, he's even more useful than 10 laser cannons. Luo Feng, according to our tradition, the military will give you the rank of Major General. Even though you don't have much power, it still represents your status. When you join the army in the future, you'll be able to save a lot of trouble. Laughed Li Do-wei. This rank is pretty good. Even the commander of a military sector is only a Major General, huh? Old Li, to be honest, I even wanted to apply to military school during my high school exams, laughed Luo Feng. Oh, then why didn't you go to military school? Otherwise, a great talent like you would be in our military sector, said Li Do-wei. Life is unpredictable, laughed Luo Feng as he shook his head. He didn't even get into military school, and now he's a Major General. Keep in mind that right now, there's no Navy in the world. Air Force. Just by looking at the price of a fighter jet, you'll know that the size of an Air Force is destined to be small. So, nowadays, the Army dominates the country's military. A Major General in the Army was indeed a very high position. Luo Feng, even though you don't have much power, according to our tradition, with your invincible war god strength, you could get a personal army of 900 people, said Li Do-wei. Oh, a personal army of 900 people? What about the examiner of the Thunder Dojo? Laughed Luo Feng. He's a personal army of 500 people, laughed Li Do-wei and Wang Luo Han, who hasn't said a word. They were clear that the Dojo of Limits and the Thunder Dojo have always been competing against each other. The two dojos are spread all over the world. Their heads are number 1 and number 2. They were both existences that rose rapidly during the Grand Nirvana period. And Thunder God is known as number 1 in speed and number 1 in body strength. Maybe in terms of strength, there's a gap between him and Hong. However, he's clearly the closest person to Hong. Just like that, Luo Feng became a Major General in the Chinese army and had a personal army of 900 people. Of course, his responsibility is to help the southeastern military sector defend against the attacks of the sea monsters. Time passed day by day, and September 1st was getting closer and closer. On the night of September 1st, the Dojo of Limits in the main city sector will hold a large banquet to welcome the new examiner. Night of August 31st. In the audio room, Su Xian's video appeared on the screen hanging on the wall. Luo Feng, what do you think of me wearing this? Is this good enough for the banquet? On the screen, Su Xian was wearing a light yellow evening gown. It's okay. Luo Feng smiled and nodded. Why do you always say it's okay? Su Xian was a bit annoyed. Answer me right now. There are only 3 answers. Not good, average, very good. Luo Feng rubbed his nose and laughed. All right, this one. Feels average. It's not as good as the purple one you just wore. Oh, I'll try the next one. Su Xin jogged away and disappeared from the screen. Suddenly, the tactical communications watch on Luo Feng's wrist beeped. Beep. Beep. HM. Mail? Luo Feng immediately pressed the button and opened the mail. The title was Archaeological Ruins Departure Notice. P.S. 2 chapters completed. Quite a few Brothers of the Red Alliance asked Tomato to update 3 chapters. Damn, I didn't prepare well today. I'll update 3 chapters tomorrow. I'm late by 1 minute, so I'll update 3 chapters. Chapter 179. Archaeological Ruin. As if a bucket of ice water was poured over Luo Feng's head, his entire body shivered. In an instant, Luo Feng stopped laughing, and his expression became serious. His eyes were like lightning as he stared at the mail on his tactical communications watch and said lightly, "Open the mail." Beep. The title of the mail was opened, and a mail with Chinese characters appeared. Examiner Luo Feng, please arrive at the dojo of Limit's World Headquarters in Hongning Headquarters City before 6 p.m. on September 29th. At that time, many war gods will gather and head towards Archaeological Ruin Number 9. Remind of the following 3 points. 1. Archaeological Ruin Number 9, which has a relatively low level of danger, is the only place where you can get a Black God set. The death rate for war gods who enter is around 72%. The success rate is 28%. Before choosing whether or not to enter, you must think carefully. Once you enter, you can't back out. 2. Everyone only has 1 chance to enter Archaeological Ruin Number 9. 3. Fighters who enter Archaeological Ruin Number 9 are forbidden from using special protective equipment, such as the Black God set. Protective equipment can only be used by battle uniforms made on Earth. Please seriously consider whether or not to enter. If you plan to enter, please be prepared. Arrive at the gathering point before the appointed time. Dojo of Limits August 31st, 2057. At the end of this mail was a Dojo of Limits logo in the shape of an official seal. Such a simple mail made Luo Feng's entire body calm down. He lowered his head and looked at the 3 big reminders on the mail. At that moment, the temperature seemed to drop by a few degrees. The death rate is 72%. Luo Feng frowned. And the success rate is 28%. In other words, if you fail, you die. And this ratio is way too high. Out of 4 people, around 3 will die. Clearly, the war gods who dared to enter Archaeological Ruin Number 9 were probably the ones with the confidence to do so. However, even if they're confident, the death rate is still as high as 72%. This means that the humans on Earth haven't discovered the pattern of success. If they did, then the death rate wouldn't be so high. And I can't use special equipment, such as the Black God set? Luo Feng frowned. What kind of place is this? They even restrict equipment. Late at night, Luo Feng silently sat on the sofa in the audiovisual room. His eyebrows were furrowed, and he was extremely frustrated. He knew nothing about Archaeological Ruin Number 9. Only by knowing yourself and your enemy could you win 100 battles. If he were to rush into the archaeological ruin like a blind man, and he was not allowed to use the Black God set, without sufficient defense, he might even lose his life. Luo Feng, what do you think of this? On the screen, Su Xin changed into another set of clothes. Not bad. Luo Feng looked up and squeezed out a smile. What's wrong? Through the video, Su Xin, who was in the main city sector, noticed that something was wrong with Luo Feng. I still have some things to do. I'll talk to you later, said Luo Feng. Oh, okay. Don't give yourself too much pressure. You've already done well enough. Su Xin encouraged. Beep. The projection on the screen turned off. The entire listening room returned to darkness. Luo Feng sat alone on the sofa. It was already late at night, so it was very quiet. After thinking for a while, Luo Feng made his decision. Beep, beep, beep. He dialed the dojo of Limit's internal number. Even though this was a bit rash, he definitely couldn't just enter Archaeological Ruin Number 9 like an idiot. Hello, the deep voice said. Even though he's called this mysterious person a few times, Luo Feng realized that this mysterious person's voice was always low and cold. Only when he said, "Thank you, sir," did this mysterious person's tone change and laugh a few times. "Hello, I'm Luo Feng," said Luo Feng. "I know it's you, Examiner Luo Feng. What do you need?" The voice was as low and cold as ever. "I just received a mail titled Archaeological Ruin Departure Notification. This mail says that the target is Archaeological Ruin number 9, and the death rate is 72%. Also, you can't use the Black God set and other equipment, right?" Luo Feng followed up with a question. "Yes," the low voice said concisely. Luo Feng followed up. "I want to know, when war gods go in, are the challenges and dangers the same?" "It's not the same. As long as your body fitness level reaches the war god level, you can enter Archaeological Ruin number 9. The low voice didn't hesitate at all. "When beginner-level war gods, intermediate-level war gods, and advanced-level war gods enter Archaeological Ruin number 9, the challenges and dangers they face are different. Some advanced-level war gods might lose their lives, while beginner-level war gods succeed." Luo Feng's face slightly changed. "That's what I'm most afraid of. If the difficulty of the dangers I encounter are different, then it all depends on luck. You're strong, but what if you encounter an extremely dangerous situation?" However, according to the ratio, advanced-level war gods have a higher success rate than intermediate-level war gods. Intermediate-level war gods have a higher success rate than beginner-level war gods, said the low voice. Luo Feng slightly frowned. When he was talking to the head, Hong, from Hong's tone, Luo Feng felt that he could easily obtain a Black God set without any danger. But now, it seems like this place has a death rate of 72%, and the Black God set is forbidden. Why is the Black God set forbidden? Luo Feng couldn't help but to ask. "If you were a Black God set, you can't enter," answered the low voice simply. "What's the success rate for me to enter?" asked Luo Feng. According to the previous success rates, the archaeological ruin is filled with uncertainties, so I can't give an accurate answer. I can only give a vague answer. The success rate should be over 80%, answered the low voice. Luo Feng went silent. "Yeah, archaeological ruin is an archaeological ruin because it's special. As of now, humans can't understand them with 100% certainty. When I was talking to the head, from what he said, it should be easy," followed Luo Feng. "I don't know," answered the low voice. Luo Feng froze. "If you want to enter Archaeological Ruin number 9, you usually have to apply yourself. And Examiner Luo Feng, you were directly picked by the head," said the low voice. "From what I've seen, I can't guarantee that you'll pass with 100% certainty. Maybe the head has other reasons, so you can ask him." Luo Feng slightly nodded. "Sorry for the trouble. Beep." He hung up the phone. Luo Feng quietly sat in the audio and video room. Even after talking to that mysterious person, Luo Feng still wasn't confident. This archaeological ruin number 9 is filled with unpredictability, so no one knows what will happen inside. Everyone can only go in once. Even if it's Hong, he probably can't go in a second time. Otherwise, a group of war gods wouldn't have to die. Since the head wants me to go, then I'll wait until September 29th. When I go to headquarters, I'll ask the head, thought Luo Feng to himself. Other war gods might risk their lives to get their hands on a Black God set, but to Luo Feng, there's no need to risk it. At least he has some confidence in himself to take the risk. Right now, he has no confidence at all. If he goes in, Kacha, he'll die. Wouldn't that be unfair? Only when the profits were high enough would people take high enough risks. A Black God set isn't worth Luo Feng taking such a risk. Night of September 1st, the sky was dark. In Mingyue sector, quite a few patrolling squads of soldiers with live ammunition looked towards a grass field in the distance. There was a triangular dark blue fighter jet parked on the grass field. Around this fighter jet, there were a total of 30 soldiers guarding it. And Luo Feng, who rarely wore a black suit, walked towards the fighter jet. "Officer." The 30 soldiers with guns saluted. Since he was specially conferred the rank of Major General, Luo Feng had a personal army of 900 people. Since Mingyue sector already had soldiers guarding it, Luo Feng split his personal army into 3 squads, and took turns patrolling. This mission was indeed quite easy. Okay, Luo Feng nodded. Voila! The hatch opened, and Luo Feng entered the auto jet like a gust of wind. After that, the auto jet started to rise and flew out of the city's defense system. After that, it turned into a dark blue flowing light and disappeared into the horizon. Jiangnan Headquarters City, in the large residential sector where the dojo of Limit's headquarters is located. Around 90% of the dojo of Limit's fighters in the headquarters city live here. The sound of music resounded. In the residential area, there was a large 3-story snow-white villa building. Tonight, there will be a grand banquet to welcome the new examiner. So a long time ago, around 100 meters around this 3-story white villa was separated by a white wooden fence, forbidding outsiders from entering. A red carpet extended from the gate of the fence all the way to the entrance of the white villa's lobby. At this moment, many celebrities of the Jiangnan Bay City arrived one after another, including the commanders of the military subdivisions and the commanders of the major military regions. There were also some representatives of the country's special forces and even some big shots in the government. Only those with extremely high statuses in the HR Alliance had the right to attend tonight's banquet. All in all, it was definitely a party of the highest level in the Jiangnan Bay City. Haha, Commander Li, welcome. Inspector Luo hasn't arrived yet? Li Dawei asked with a smile. Today, Inspector Luo is the star of the show. This banquet is to welcome him. It's normal to be late. Please understand, Commander Li, President Zhou Zhengyong said with a smile. Excuse me. Guildmaster Zhou Zhengyong immediately went to receive other distinguished guests. There were a bunch of war gods here today. There were more than 10 generals in the military. Li Dawei walked to an empty corner with a glass of wine in his hand. A youth in a suit came up and said, Commander, everything is going according to plan. I estimate that there will be a huge commotion in an hour. Oh, a smile appeared on Li Dawei's face. P.S. Chapter 1. There will be 3 chapters today. Chapter 180. Music flowed through every corner of the lobby. Handsome men and beautiful women served wine and food. In the lobby, all sorts of famous people were chatting. Old Li, what are you doing hiding here by yourself? A deep voice rang. A tall, burly, middle-aged man wearing a suit smiled as he walked over. Li Dawei looked over and couldn't help but to laugh. Yi Zhong, you sure came early today as a mayor. It's rare for so many old friends to be here. So how could I not come early? Laughed the burly man. Just from his appearance, this burly man seemed more like a military fighter. He didn't look like a mayor at all. After the Grand Nirvana period, there were only 6 headquarters cities in all of China. The mayors of each headquarters city were all high-ranking officials. Their positions were much higher than the high-ranking officials before the Grand Nirvana period. As of now, a headquarters city has 2 leaders. One is the mayor in charge of the people's livelihood, and the other is the highest military commander of the headquarters city. And the highest military commander of Jiangnan headquarters city is General Li Dawei. I heard that you went to the Mingyue sector a few days ago. Smiled Mayor Yi. Did you find anything? Luo Feng is quite patriotic, smiled Li Dawei. Suddenly, he glanced into the distance and couldn't help but to laugh. Look, the Su family is here. Mayor Yi also turned his head to look and said, The Su family? I heard that this examiner Luo Feng is dating a little girl from the Su family? Oh, then that should be Su Xin. No wonder Luo Feng likes her. This girl is quite nice. 3 people came from the Su family. The leader was a slightly chubby, white-haired old man. Beside him was a young woman wearing a black evening gown with a noble aura. She looked around 30 years old, and the other one was Su Xin, who was wearing a purple evening gown. A woman's biggest asset is her youth. Su Xin was already young, so she looked even sexier when she wore this off-shoulder gown that accentuated her figure. It made people's eyes light up. Are you unhappy that this little girl from the Su family is with Luo Feng? Li Dawei, you can also find a pretty young girl from your Yi family and take Luo Feng from the hands of that little girl from the Su family. This is a 19-year-old invincible war god. Maybe he'll become an existence surpassing the war god level in the future. If I don't act now, I won't have another chance in the future. Mayor Yi couldn't help but look at him and smiled helplessly. You old guy, you don't look like a general. At the corner of the hall, Su Xian and her aunt were chatting in the corner of the hall with wine glasses in their hands. Although the Su family was one of the 12 major families in the country, the people who had come today were all important figures. Their Su family was not conspicuous at all. As for Su Xian and her aunt who attended as family members, they were even quieter. Who's talking to Grandpa? Su Xian whispered. It's the son of Examiner Lei from the Thunder Dojo, Lei Yufeng. On the side, her aunt also whispered. Yufeng, your father hasn't arrived yet? The Su family's patriarch, Su Yunhua, was smiling as he spoke to a long-haired youth. Today is the Dojo of Limit's banquet to welcome the examiner. That Examiner Luo isn't here yet. My dad is the Thunder Dojo's examiner. Coming so early isn't too appropriate, said the long-haired youth. His voice wasn't low either. This sentence made a few of the Dojo of Limit's members who were serving in the hall look over unhappily. Chairman Zhou Zhengyong turned his head and glanced over. Chairman, this Lei Yufeng is too arrogant. Chief Yu Sun couldn't help but to say quietly. This is the banquet for our Dojo of Limits to welcome the examiner, yet he's not giving us any face at all. Their Thunder Dojo has always been at odds with our Dojo of Limits. It would be weird if they gave us any face. Zhou Zhengyong laughed coldly. Don't mind him. Our new examiner is an invincible war god. It's destined that as long as Luo Feng is here, we'll suppress them in Jiangnan headquarters city. Chief Yu Sun on the side couldn't help but to nod and let out a smile. The Thunder Dojo and the Dojo of Limits are the two strongest armed organizations in the world. The Dojo of Limits is a bit stronger, but the Thunder Dojo isn't too far behind. The two dojos fight to recruit normal students. If they meet a fighter with extremely high talent, the two dojos will also fight to recruit them. For example, Luo Feng received an invitation from the Thunder Dojo back then. Fighters compete against each other. If you build a training camp, I'll build a training camp too. If you have an examiner, I'll have an examiner too. If you have an investigator, I'll have an investigator too. From the bottom, all the way to the top, the two dojos have always been in a competitive relationship. Since they only have one opponent, no other power can be their opponent. Even the two dojo masters, who were high and mighty, were also eternal rivals. Thunder God, the world's number 2 fighter, number 1 in blade techniques, number 1 in body strength, and number 1 in speed. And Hong is the undisputed number 1 fighter in the world. Logically speaking, number 1 in body strength, number 1 in speed, and as long as your reaction speed is about the same. With the explosive power of Thunder God's 9-stage Thunderblade, you should be able to become the world's strongest fighter. Many fighters thought so too. But after all these years, Hong has always been the undisputed number 1. Old Su this is? Lei Yufeng's eyes flashed when he saw the well-dressed Su Xian. This is my granddaughter. Su Xian smiled Su Yunhua. Lei Yufeng actually walked up a few steps to Su Xian and smiled. Miss Su Xian, nice to meet you. I'm Lei Yufeng. Nice to meet you. Su Xian was a bit surprised. Nice to meet you. Just as Lei Yufeng finished his sentence, the entire lobby went into an uproar. Examiner Luo is here. That fighter jet is an auto jet. Last time, the organization offered 260 billion Chinese dollars, but the Dojo of Limits refused to sell us an auto jet. Examiner Luo came out of the fighter jet. Examiner Luo is so young. As the discussion went on, many people in the lobby headed towards the door. Su Xian and her aunt also walked over, only to see a young man wearing a black suit walking over on the 100-meter-long red carpet with a smile on his face. Everyone's gaze fell on him. Right now, his formless aura was extremely powerful. As a powerful spirit reader, his gaze made people's hearts tremble. Examiner, Chairman Zhou Zhengyong, the 3 chiefs, Zhuge Tao, Yu Sun, and Wang Kefan all greeted him at the door. Chairman Zhou Luo Feng directly walked into the lobby. Examiner, let me introduce you to an important guest. Chairman Zhou Zhengyong tactfully brought Luo Feng towards the head of the Su family, Su Ying. Luo Feng immediately saw the white-haired old man. Luo Feng once saw this old man from afar, so he recognized him. This is the head of the Su family. Mr. Su Yunghua smiled Zhou Zhengyong. It's a pleasure to meet Examiner Luo. Examiner Luo's name has spread far and wide. However, to meet you face to face, Examiner Luo's age is even more shocking. Su Yunghua's face was full of smiles like a blooming flower. Age and strength, this comparison. Examiner Luo's future is limitless. Limitless. This flattery made quite a few people sneer. Isn't it just because you want Luo Feng to be your future grandson-in-law? Do you have to be this passionate? I wouldn't dare. It's my first time meeting old Su. It's an honor. Smiled Luo Feng. Examiner, let's go over there. Chairman Zhou was about to introduce another guest. No rush. Luo Feng directly walked towards Su Xian. However, when his gaze swept past the youth with long hair, standing beside Su Xian, he couldn't help but to frown. Men all have strong possessiveness. A stranger standing next to his girlfriend, Luo Feng naturally felt a bit of displeasure. Please excuse me. Luo Feng looked at the long-haired man. Lei Yufeng was stared at by Luo Feng. Just the pressure from Luo Feng's gaze made Lei Yufeng hold his breath. His consciousness became blurry, and he instinctively took a few steps back. After seeing Lei Yufeng step back, Luo Feng stood in front of Su Xian and intentionally blinked. Su Xian smiled and hugged Luo Feng's arm. Let's go. Luo Feng and Su Xian walked to Zhou Zhengyong's side. Zhou Zhengyong looked at Su Xian with a shocked expression. He let out a smile and nodded. All right, this scene caused an uproar among all the famous people in the hall. Luo Feng's actions in a situation like this is clearly announcing his relationship with Su Xian. This scene made quite a few people disappointed. There are quite a few people who want to use marriage to rope in Luo Feng. Su Yunghua and his daughter let out a smile. Lei Yufeng's face was ugly. This is our Jiangnan city's mayor, Yi Zhong. Examiner, this is the country's Special Forces Department's 9th Division's Director Liu Yin. This is the country's Special Forces Department's 11th Division's Liu Dekai, Old Liu. This is Mr. Yi Fun, the patriarch of the Yi family, one of the 12 great families in our Jiangnan headquarters city. This is Commander Tong Xiuzhu of our Jiangnan headquarters city's northern military region. Under Chairman Zhou Zhengyong's introduction, Luo Feng met many special people. Every single one of these people had huge power in China. And when these people faced Luo Feng, their attitudes were all extremely good. Supervisor, there's still one more. Zhou Zhengyong said in a low voice. This last identity is quite impressive. He's the second team leader of the military's strongest special force, Huashan. His teacher is the founder of Huashan, an existence surpassing the war god level, the military's strongest special department, Mount Hua. Why is it called Huashan? It's so awkward. Luo Feng laughed softly. This was set by the founder, Representative Jia. Who knows for what reason? Zhou Zhengyong said in a low voice. Jia Yi is one of the few people in China who have surpassed the war god level. His position is extremely high. Of course, the department he created has many privileges. Chairman Zhou didn't say anything else and brought Luo Feng in front of a middle-aged man. Right when Luo Feng was about to speak to this representative of the country's strongest special force. Examiner Luo, I'm late. Sorry about that. A clear, thunderous voice resounded throughout the hall. P.S. Chapter 2 is here. Sweat, this chapter was a bit slow. Let's continue with the third chapter. Chapter 181. The originally noisy hall immediately quietened down. Everyone turned their heads and saw a skinny middle-aged man wearing a black suit. His eyes were like lightning, and he had a smile on his face. He turned his head and looked around as he yelled, Luo Feng. Examiner Luo, where are you? Where is it? I've always wanted to meet Inspector Luo and see what kind of young hero he is. Dad. Lei Yufeng walked to his father's side. This person, it was the examiner of Jiangnan City's Thunder Dojo, Lei Meng. To be able to become the supervisor of a large headquarters city, Lei Ming is a famous figure amongst the advanced level war gods. In terms of strength, he is even stronger than Vulture Li Yao. Of course, it was slightly weaker than Phantom Demon Catalan. Phantom Demon Catalan. His fitness level has reached the peak of the advanced level war god level, and he also has spiritual force. On the other hand, Lei Ming's physical fitness had reached its peak. Lei Ming is here. Things are getting interesting. I wonder how things will develop. The big shots in the hall were all interested in watching the show. They were all looking at Lei Ming and Luo Feng, looking at the entire world, who didn't know that the Thunder Dojo and the Dojo of Limits had always been competing against each other. Other people didn't dare to mess with the Dojo of Limits, but the Thunder Dojo dared. Hong and Thunder God, on the other hand, were tacitly approving of the competition between their subordinates. Luo Feng was standing in front of the representative of China's most powerful secret department, Huashan. After hearing Examiner Lei Ming's words, Luo Feng didn't even look at him. Instead, he smiled as he looked at the representative in front of him and extended his hand. "Hello, I'm Luo Feng. I've long heard of Representative Jia's name and have always admired you. It's a pleasure to meet Representative Jia's disciple, Jianglong. I'm also very happy to be able to meet a genius like Examiner Luo." Jianglong's good impression of Luo Feng directly increased. One had to know that Lei Ming's sudden interruption had annoyed Jianglong the most, because just as Luo Feng was about to talk to him, Lei Ming appeared. If Luo Feng turned his head to talk to Lei Ming and treated him like air, wouldn't he, Jianglong, lose face? And Luo Feng's current action was treating that Lei Ming like air, as if he didn't see him. He continued to smile and chat with Jianglong. Of course, Jianglong was happy. On the other side of the hall, Lei Ming was unhappy. Inspector, Team Leader Jiang is Counselor Jia's most powerful disciple. Chairman Zhou Zhengyong realized and smiled as he introduced. He's already an advanced level war god and is one of the strongest fighters in Huashan. Compared to Inspector Luo, there's still a gap. Jiang Long smiled. In terms of experience, Group Leader Jiang is much more experienced than me, smiled Luo Feng. Luo Feng gave Jiang Long face, and Jiang Long gave Luo Feng face. "Excuse me," said Luo Feng. "As you wish, Inspector Luo." Jiang Long smiled. "Let's talk later." After chatting with Group Leader Jiang from the strongest department of the Chinese military, Huashan, Luo Feng brought Su Xian and smiled as they walked towards Examiner Lei Ming Lei. "Examiner Luo, my father specially came here to congratulate you." He came here to happily chat with Examiner Luo, but Examiner Luo, you don't seem to see my father. Lei Yufeng frowned and said with dissatisfaction, "This is really Yufeng." Lei Ming waved his hand and stopped his son from continuing. Luo Feng sneered in his heart. If this Lei Ming wanted to stop his son, he would have done it a long time ago. When he received the Dojo of Limits World Headquarters mail regarding the responsibilities of examiners, it mentioned protecting the Dojo of Limits reputation. Especially when competing against the Thunder Dojo, they have to beat their opponents. Competing against the Thunder Dojo has already become a tradition. Since Luo Feng took over this position, he obviously can't be a pushover. "I'm really sorry. I was talking to Mr. Jianglong just now. Mr. Lei Ming, you suddenly came, so I can't just leave Mr. Jianglong to the side." "Examiner Lei, am I right?" smiled Luo Feng. Lei Ming raised his eyebrows, but didn't say anything. "I'm very happy that Examiner Lei could come." Luo Feng smiled from ear to ear. "We'll talk more later." As he said that, Luo Feng glanced at Chairman Zhou Zhengyong. Zhou Zhengyong nodded and walked towards the stage in front of the lobby. On the stage, Zhou Zhengyong stood on the stage and looked at the important figures below. He smiled. On September 1st, our Jiangnan City's Dojo of Limits welcomed a new examiner. Who is he? He defeated Phantom Demon Catalan, Great Bear Kata, Blood Shadow Ethan, and Vulture Liao for advanced level war gods. These words made Examiner Lei Ming's face turn ugly. Even though Lei Ming is strong, he's still a bit weaker than Phantom Demon Catalan. If Luo Feng fought against Lei Ming alone, Lei Ming would lose for sure. 3 of these 4 have a Black God set, yet they still lose against him. And he even received the evaluation of Invincible War God from the highest level of our Dojo of Limits. And he's still very young. I don't need to say it. Everyone knows who he is. Let us welcome Jiangnan City's new examiner of the Dojo of Limits, Invincible War God, Luo Feng. Chairman Zhou Zhengyang's loud voice rang throughout the entire lobby. The guests below all laughed and clapped. At the same time, music started playing. As the music played, Luo Feng said something to Su Exan, who was beside him, and then smiled as he walked onto the stage. Zhou Zhengyang walked down, and Luo Feng walked up. On the stage, Luo Feng looked at the people below. When his gaze swept past Examiner Lei Meng, his expression didn't change at all. He was still smiling. Everyone, Luo Feng looked at everyone. Jiangnan City, this is my hometown. To be able to become the examiner of Jiangnan City's Dojo of Limits after I grow up, I feel extremely honored. I can't say much about other things, but as an examiner, I will definitely fulfill my responsibilities. I definitely won't tarnish the Dojo of Limits' reputation. These words instantly caused a round of applause, especially from the Dojo of Limits people. Lei Meng and the others just watched calmly. China is my country. If my country is in trouble, I won't just stand by and do nothing. And the war between the monsters and humanity doesn't allow me to retreat. I've already accepted General Li Dewei's invitation. Luo Feng looked toward Commander Li Dewei. Commander Li Dewei also smiled as he nodded. All right, that's all. The most important thing is for everyone to be happy tonight. Chairman Zhou, prepare the banquet, smiled Luo Feng. Many guests were having dinner together. Actually, eating wasn't real. Chatting was real. Those who can come to this banquet are all important people. They rarely get to meet each other. For example, how can you meet an important member of the country's special forces just because you want to? After the banquet, many guests were eating fruits and chatting in groups of 2 or 3. Soft music resounded in the hall, and the atmosphere was very comfortable. Luo Feng was also chatting with Chief Jiang and Lu Dekai, while everyone was chatting in the hall. What? A shocked cry rang through the hall, causing everyone to stop talking. The one who yelled was actually the commander of the southeastern military sector, General of the Army, Li Dewei. Li Dewei was on the phone. I'll be right back. Li Dewei's expression was serious as he hung up. Commander Li, what's up? Headquarters City's Mayor Yi Zhonglian walked over. Big news. The sea monster horde has already started fighting with the southeastern military sector. Li Dewei's expression was serious. As soon as he said this, the entire hall went into an uproar. The sea monster horde is attacking inland? What level? Asked Mayor Yi. A level 1 monster horde, said Li Dewei. Everyone in the hall was stunned. Even Luo Feng, who wasn't far away, was shocked. Keep in mind that the monster horde that killed War God Liu Gang was only a level 3 rat horde. That was already countless rat-type monsters. Above the level 3 monster horde, there's the level 2 monster horde, level 1 monster horde, and of course, the legendary disaster level monster horde. However, the number of calamity-grade disasters that happen on Earth was extremely few. The sign of a disaster level is the participation of an emperor-level monster. Usually, there will be a catastrophic outcome. A level 1 monster horde already represents an endless monster horde. Right now, a level 1 monster horde is erupting. I have to return immediately. I hope that the war gods, if you have the power, can help me out at this critical moment. Li Dewei looked towards everyone present. There were quite a few war gods here. How can we retreat at a time like this? The Thunder Dojo examiner, Lei Meng, said loudly. At the same time, he intentionally looked towards Luo Feng. Commander Li, let's not waste any more time. We'll leave now. Luo Feng was even more direct as he walked towards Commander Li. Especially at a time like this, Lei Meng and Luo Feng were opposing each other. With a level 1 monster horde erupting, how can the 2 examiners retreat? If they retreat, wouldn't they ruin the reputation of their dojo? As the supervisor, he naturally had to shoulder the responsibilities that he was supposed to shoulder. They can't let the people under their command not be able to hold their heads high. Luo Feng, be careful, Su Xian ran over. Don't worry. Luo Feng slightly smiled and pinched Su Xian's nose. Immediately, Luo Feng sat on his auto jet. Lei Ming also sat on his disc-shaped fighter jet. The other war gods that wanted to participate also sat on their fighter jets. They rose into the air one by one and swiftly flew towards the southeast direction. In the disc-shaped fighter jet that Commander Li Dewei sat on, Commander Li Dewei and that young man were sitting on their seats. "Commander, I'm afraid that some people will guess this move," laughed the young man on the side. Li Dewei's face was serious. "So what if they guess it?" "The sea monsters are continuously gathering. The amount of sea monsters in the Huangpu River is enough to make us tremble in fear. If we don't fight today, the monster horde will attack in 1 or 2 months. We can't wait for the monster horde to attack, right? We might as well start the battle ahead of time. If we start the battle ahead of time, the sea monsters won't be prepared enough, and with this banquet we could get quite a few war gods to help," smiled Li Dewei, "especially Luo Feng and Lei Ming." Li Dewei smiled. "Especially Luo Feng and Lei Ming. One is an invincible war god, and the other has a black god set. With the help of our army, the two of them won't be any less useful than an army of 200,000. The young man on the side nodded. "Say, between Luo Feng and Lei Ming, who will kill more horde leader-level sea monsters later?" Smiled Li Dewei. "P.S. 3 chapters completed. Yeah, buy your monthly votes. Those who have monthly votes buy them. Those who don't buy them, Tomato loves votes." Chapter 182. Autojet. Number 1. "Follow the disc-shaped fighter jet at the front," commanded Luo Feng. Luo Feng, who was wearing a black suit, instantly started to change. It quickly shrunk and disappeared, revealing the white shirt inside. After taking off the white shirt, a black vest was revealed. Blades flew out of the vest. Oh! They swiftly assembled and formed the soaring shuttle that looked like a plank. "There's definitely an uncountable number of sea monsters this time. That golden net will probably get in the way," thought Luo Feng. He didn't bring the golden net with him. This golden net can only be used in a one-on-one battle. The black membrane covered his entire body and swiftly transformed into a battle uniform. And a black helmet even appeared on his head. "Fellow war gods," a voice carried from the Tactical Communications Watch. "I am Li Dewei. I am Li Dewei. I will arrive at the front lines in 50 seconds. The amount of sea monsters in front is uncountable. Powerful war gods, please enter the front lines and assist the army in defending against the monster horde. Only war gods with the black god set can attempt to enter the monster horde and attack. Arriving at the front lines." Following the voice from the Tactical Communications Watch, Luo Feng lightly said, "Number 1, open the hatch, voila." The hatch opened. Luo Feng, who was wearing a black battle uniform, a helmet, and had a ghost blade on his back, stepped on the soaring shuttle and flew out. The hatch of the auto jet closed once again and floated in midair. One after another, the flying saucer fighters quickly landed on the frontline base below. This frontline base was blocked by a section of the Huangpu River. This section of the river was completely blocked by a large number of rocks and reinforced concrete. Moreover, there was an extremely large small-scale steel and cement war base built on top of it. Large amounts of cold light and thick cannons extended out of the muzzles. "This is a level 1 monster horde." Luo Feng stood on the soaring shuttle and looked down from almost 1,000 meters in the air. He was completely stunned. The Huangpu River is an important passageway for countless sea monsters to attack inland. In the past few decades, countless sea monsters have been attacking, causing the width and depth of the Huangpu River to be even more shocking than before the Grand Nirvana period. Who knows how many sea monsters are hiding in the vast Huangpu River? And that military base blocked the entire Huangpu River, making it impossible to pass. And at this time, rumble, as if the heavens were collapsing and the earth was splitting apart. The sound of cannon fire shook the heavens. A dense horde of water monsters that covered the sky and earth shot out of Huangpu River or crawled out quickly. Among them were fierce arthropod-type monsters, reptile-type monsters that were most familiar with land, strange selenorate-type water monsters, Echinoderm-type water monsters, and fish-type monsters that covered the sky and earth. The largest number of fish monsters. Sea monsters were more than 10 times more terrifying than land monsters. Firstly, there were too many of them. Second, its ability was incomparably strange. For example, the arthropod monsters. Just the shrimp and crab species alone. Before the Grand Nirvana period, there were already thousands of shrimp and crab species discovered in the ocean. Including the unknown ones, there were probably tens of thousands of them. After the mutation, the shrimps, crabs, and other monsters reached an astonishing number. Other coelenterates and echinoderms went without saying. Humans have predicted that before the Grand Nirvana period, there were over 2 million species of marine life. What about now? No one knew what would happen after the Grand Nirvana. The only thing they knew was that there were too many different kinds of terrifying monsters, just like the many island countries in the past. No country dared to look down on sea monsters. Holy, what kind of monsters are these? Luo Feng was incomparably shocked. Whoosh! Luo Feng's gaze turned cold, and his skin covered his face, revealing only his eyes. After that, he stepped on the soaring shuttle and charged downwards. From high up in the sky, it looked like a dense horde. When they charged downwards, it was even more shocking. Large amounts of all kinds of fish-type monsters jumped 20 to 30 meters high from the Huangpu River. Countless fish-type monsters ferociously revealed their sharp teeth. Even reinforced concrete will be crushed by their teeth. Luo Feng, Lei Ming, please kill some horde leader-level water monsters that have come ashore, Commander Li's voice carried from his tactical communications watch. Horde leader. Luo Feng looked downwards. With a glance, he saw a sea monster that was around 15 to 16 meters long and had a huge turtle shell on its head. The huge turtle shell on its back even had protrusions that glowed with dark gold. Its head was like a dinosaur's. Its skull was hard, and it even had a black horn. Its mouth was like a sawtooth. No one would doubt its power. It was moving swiftly, not daring to stop for even a second. I can't aim. It's moving too fast on a tall building 1,000 meters away, one of the laser cannon operators said anxiously. These Lord-class monsters are all very intelligent. After suffering a loss, they won't stop once they get on land. That's right. That's right. No matter how fast the laser cannon is, it still requires a human to press the button. With the reaction time of a human and the time it takes to press the button, there's no way to aim. Boom, boom, boom. Cannons with calibers over 100 millimeters crazily bombarded the front line. The distance of around 200 meters between the water and the actual base became a sea of fire. Countless sea monsters crazily charged, and the gigantic military base also crazily fired all sorts of cannons. Whoosh! A black shadow passed through the endless horde of sea monsters like lightning. Pu! Pung! The suppressive firepower that filled the area caused quite a number of large-caliber bullets to land on him. In fact, some cannonballs even came charging at him. They were controlled by an invisible force and crashed into the armor of a crab-type monster that was moving horizontally by the side. Steel shards flew everywhere, but the black figure did not slow down in the slightest. Dime! Whoosh! 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 6 cold sword lights spun as they flew past the neck of the giant turtle-type monster that was moving quickly and wanting to attack the military base. Like cutting an apple, the horde leader-level sea monster's ferocious head was directly cut open. Its huge body rushed forward for some distance, knocking away many other sea monsters, and then it stopped moving. Good. Amazing. Inspector Luo is really amazing in the military base. Many people shouted in surprise. Boom! Pooh! At this moment, a snake-like giant monster crashed into the military base. The walls of the military base shook violently. The walls that were already full of holes and cracks shook again, and a large amount of concrete and cement fell off. But at the same moment, without a sound, a dazzling white light shot out from one of the towers inside the military base. The giant horde leader-level monster didn't even have time to dodge. It directly pierced through and burned into nothingness. Laser cannon. However, when this horde leader-level snake-type monster crashed into the wall, it also released its most powerful electric light. Pa! A twisted electric light fiercely spread out and even went through a few cannons into the base. This horrifying electric light caused quite a few casualties in the military base. Horde leader-level monsters, so many. Luo Feng's gaze swept around and locked onto another Horde leader-level monster. Whoosh! Luo Feng's body doesn't even care about cannon fire. Normal anti-material sniper rifles can only threaten a low-level commander level, and these super large caliber cannons can usually kill medium-level commanders. As for high-level commanders, it all depends on luck. As for the Horde leader level, he can only rely on the laser cannon. As for Luo Feng, the durability of the Black God set is even stronger than an Emperor-level monster. To kill a human wearing a Black God set, you usually have to rely on the shocking force of impact to shock the target to death. Just like how Luo Feng can't do anything to Li Yao. Since the Black God set can reduce 90% of the force of impact, the remaining 10% is spread throughout his entire body, allowing his entire body to receive the force. Over 90% of the laser cannons in the frontline military base are used to deal with the Horde leader level. With that kind of power, even if it hits Luo Feng, it won't hurt him. The third Horde leader level. The gigantic creature with a diameter of around 30 meters crazily waved its black tentacles in an attempt to kill Luo Feng. Against this gigantic creature that was like a small mountain, Luo Feng stepped on the soaring shuttle and agilely dodged the tentacle attacks. At the same time, rays of cold light flashed towards this octopus-type monster. Inside the command hall of the base, around them was a 3D hologram that simulated the battle happening in the outside world. Commander Li Dawei had a serious expression on his face. Beside him stood other higher-ups of the military. As for the war gods, they've already gone to the front to support the army and deal with the monsters that can charge into the base. DI, 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 the alarm suddenly rang. A transparent jellyfish-type monster has entered the base. The alarm system immediately sent out a warning. At the same time, the surrounding 3D hologram displayed an image. Under the infrared scan, the transparent jellyfish with large amounts of soft tentacles entered the outermost area of the base. Luckily, there were very few soldiers in the outermost area. Squad number 3, head to H-21 trap, Li Dawei directly ordered. Suddenly, rumble, rumble, rumble. The entire base fiercely shook. Everyone in the command hall couldn't help but to sway. There's an extremely powerful water monster that's crazily smashing into our base, someone immediately yelled. The appetizer is over. Now it's getting serious? Commander Li Dawei's face was still expressionless as he ordered. With the base as the center, throw the napalm bombs within a radius of 1,000 meters, yes. The order was passed down. An old man wearing a military uniform in the command hall couldn't help but to ask, "Commander, isn't it a bit too early to throw the napalm bombs? Even though the sea monsters are powerful, and even if they can go ashore for a short period of time after mutating, they can easily die from dehydration after a while. The sea monsters can't leave the water. And even if the napalm bombs can't burn the sea monsters to death, they can quickly deplete the water in their bodies. So, fire is an extremely effective way to deal with the sea monsters." It's not early. Li Dawei let out a rare smile. This time, we have the help of an invincible war god. I originally thought that he didn't have a Black God set, but he actually has a Black God set. An invincible war god equipped with a Black God set has a shocking effect. Connect to Luo Feng, ordered Li Dawei. Examiner Luo Feng, please enter the water and kill the large sea monsters that are smashing into our base, Li Dawei requested. On the 3D hologram, Luo Feng, who was wearing a black battle uniform and had just killed a horrifying noodle-like selenorate monster, was like a bolt of lightning as he stepped on his soaring shuttle. With a whoosh, he ignored the countless sea monsters and directly charged into the vast Huangpu River. P.S. Chapter 1 has arrived. Chapter 183. Pudong. Luo Feng charged into the waters of the Huangpu River. With his naked eye, he could only see water monsters of all shapes and sizes. His spiritual force immediately spread out and covered an area of 100 meters. Within this area of 100 meters, there were over 100 different types of fish monsters. There were also other types of shellfish monsters. There sure are a lot of them. Luo Feng felt more and more that the sea monsters were a threat to humanity. He continued to dive down. At this time, disc-shaped fighter jets flew across the sky and dropped large amounts of new napalm bombs. With the base as the center, the area was at least 1,000 meters. Both sides of the Huangpu River, as well as the surface of the Huangpu River, had been thrown with this weapon that the sea monsters hated the most. Hoo-hoo! Suddenly, the area of 1,000 meters became a sea of fire. With the bodies of the sea monsters, they weren't afraid of being roasted by fire. However, the water in their bodies was quickly evaporating. Some salinarate-type monsters, like jellyfish, can survive on land for 2 to 3 hours after they mutate. However, once they're roasted by fire, large amounts of water will evaporate, and they won't be able to last even 2 to 3 minutes. Depending on the type, the amount of time they can last under fire varies. The napalm bombs that landed on the water continued to burn. Water can't extinguish it. Mud can't extinguish it. Rolling around on the ground can't get rid of the fire. Instead, it will make the fire burn even more. In other words, even if you escape the sea of fire, you'll still be on fire. You can say that this is the most hated weapon of the sea monsters. Without a doubt, under the sea of fire, the sea monster's strength will decrease by 70%. Even so, it will be extremely difficult for the base to defend against this wave of attacks. Huangpu River, more than 50 meters deep. Over the past few decades, the sea monsters had attacked wave after wave, and the giant sea monsters had attacked the Huangpu River, causing it to be much deeper than before. It's these three big guys. Under the illumination of the flames on the surface of the river, Luo Feng, who was at the bottom of the river, could see three gigantic beings in the distance. Of these three gigantic beings, the shortest one was around 60 meters long, while the longest one was a shocking 90 meters long. If they were erected, they would be as tall as a 30-story building. What they all have in common is, they all have sharp horns. The sharp horns on their heads crazily smashed into the foundation of the base time and time again. Every time those sharp horns hit, they would pierce 7 to 8 meters deep. The entire pedestal trembled. However, the width of the horn was not enough for their huge bodies to enter. Therefore, he could only crash again and again until he had enough width to move forward a few meters. Then, he would crazily crash again. Currently, they were only 10 meters deep. 2 mountain-shaking whales, and a roaring sky beast. Luo Feng was shocked. The largest one was the roaring sky beast. The other 2 mountain-shaking whales were probably medium level horde leader-level monsters. As for that roaring sky beast, it should be a high-level monster lord. The current Luo Feng doesn't really care about high-level horde leaders. However, this was a roaring sky beast. Even though Luo Feng doesn't know much about sea monsters, he still knows quite a bit about the extremely famous and terrifying sea monsters. The roaring sky beast is one of the most terrifying monsters in the ocean. The sky-roaring beast possesses boundless strength. Its strongest attack is the sound wave attack. Sound wave attack? Luo Feng slightly creased his eyebrows and immediately controlled the black god set to form earplugs, blocking his ears. The black helmet also formed a thick layer of protection around his ears. Let's kill the sky-roaring beast as quickly as possible, then kill the 2 mountain-shaking whales. As he stepped on the soaring shuttle, Luo Feng became a bolt of black lightning as he charged forward. Needless to say, the soaring shuttle is amazing. Luo Feng's speed increases even when he's flying in the water. No wonder it's a treasure that even Hong values so much. Angie, the gigantic roaring sky beast, fiercely turned its head. Without any warning, it let out an ear-piercing sound, which then turned into silence. Weng, Weng, the river water between Luo Feng and the roaring sky beast was instantly blasted open. The river water around Luo Feng completely disappeared, and the terrifying sound wave instantly hit Luo Feng. It was so fast that Luo Feng didn't even have time to dodge. This sound wave attack, which terrified countless war gods on Earth, was used on Luo Feng's body. When the sound wave passed through the special material of the Black God set, it was drastically weakened. Plus, Luo Feng's ears were heavily protected, so the most obvious target of sound wave attacks, the head, easily survived this disaster. Luo Feng only had a slight headache, but nothing else happened. He couldn't help but to let out a smile. The Black God set sure is powerful. It can block sharp attacks. It can greatly reduce the force of impact. It can even greatly reduce sound waves. This strange treasure that originated from archaeological ruin number 9 was indeed magical. Whoosh! After blocking the sound wave attack, Luo Feng directly turned into lightning and charged towards the gigantic roaring sky beast. But this time, the river water beside Luo Feng started to shake, and formless attacks attacked Luo Feng. Whoosh! 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 The 6 curved blades were like rays of moonlight as they flashed across the river 70 to 80 meters to the left. Suddenly, a painful howl rose, the river water shook, and milky, white blood flowed out. A transparent jellyfish-type monster dares to ambush a spirit reader. It's looking to die. Luo Feng sneered in his heart. There are many types of jellyfish-type monsters in the sea. So far, 3 of them have been discovered that are completely transparent and can't be seen with the naked eye. Even though their attacks are different, they're still collectively known as the transparent jellyfish type. To human fighters, they are extremely threatening. You can't see them with the naked eye, but Luo Feng's spiritual force covered the area, so he saw them a long time ago. Roaring sky beast. Mountain shaking whale. Luo Feng's eyes were like a butcher slaughtering lambs as he charged towards the 3 horde leader-level monsters. This battle between humans and monsters was just as horrifying as before. It continued all the way until 8 a.m. on the second day. Even though the sea monsters didn't break through the base, a few horde leaders still charged in alone. And large groups of sea monsters that can discharge electricity, large groups of sea monsters that can spit poison, and even bubbles that can spit out shockwaves. All sorts of strange attacks from sea monsters seeped into the base, causing quite a few human soldiers to die. In the command hall of the base, the higher-ups of the military and some of the war gods who helped out this time were all gathered here. Everyone was in a pretty good mood. Thank you, everyone. We were able to successfully defend against a wave of sea monsters this time. I estimate that within half a year, the sea monsters won't launch a second wave of such a large-scale attack. Commander Li Wei was in an extremely good mood. Even though the losses this time weren't small, they were much lighter than before. The one who contributed the most was Luo Feng. In this wave of war gods, including the original war gods of the military, only Luo Feng and Lei Meng have Black God sets. And even though Lei Meng is powerful, those sea monsters can escape if they can't beat them. Lei Meng can defeat horde leader-level monsters, but killing them is extremely difficult. Luo Feng was different. He stood on the soaring shuttle and controlled the blades to dance in the air. Which lord could outrun the speed of the blades? All of them died. This battle, Lei Meng killed 2 horde leader-level monsters. He also forced back quite a few at crucial moments, which helped the military quite a bit. Luo Feng killed 15 horde leader-level monsters. Fellow war gods, sell the materials from the monsters you killed to the HR Alliance. Laughed an old man in the command hall. Come find me if you want to sell it to the dojo, laughed Commander Li Wei. War gods disregarded their lives to fight for the military, so they usually don't ask for a fee. However, as long as the corpses of the monsters they personally killed can be found, they usually sell it to the HR Alliance. Normally, they would sell to the HR Alliance. After all, the HR Alliance's asking price was the highest. The Huaxia military was very supportive of this. Because the HR Alliance is so popular in China, the country also benefits from it. This time, Examiner Luo Feng earned the most. Examiner Luo Feng, you've struck it rich. A group of war gods laughed as they congratulated him. Because Luo Feng was blocking at the front, none of the war gods at the front lines died. So everyone was in a good mood. Forget about the other horde leader-level monsters. I have 3 Horde leader-level monsters materials. Luo Feng's large black backpack automatically opened, and a large amount of monster materials fell to the ground. Even though he killed 15 of them, Luo Feng also took out the important parts from the 3 most powerful ones and put them in his backpack. He only took in 3 Horde leader-level monsters, and they were all high-level Horde leader-level monsters. As for the others, he'll just donate them to the country. Haha, then I'll shamelessly accept them. Lido Wei didn't refuse. Commander Li, you're not humble at all. A powerful war god on the side immediately laughed. Lido Wei laughed. Luo Feng is a rich man, so why would he care about this? Out of the 15 Horde leader-level monsters, the 3 most expensive ones were the ones Luo Feng took. The old man who was inspecting the 3 high-level Horde leader-level monsters couldn't help but to glare at Li Dawei. Old Li, even though the other Horde leader-level monsters are low-level or middle-level, there's so many of them. I estimate that they add up to around 30 billion. The HR Alliance's price for a low-level Horde leader ranges from 500 million to 3 billion. A middle-level Horde leader ranges from 1.5 billion to 9 billion. Most of the 12 Horde leaders Luo Feng killed were low-level Horde leaders and a few middle-level Horde leaders, so they add up to around 30 billion. Roaring Sky Beast, 9-headed snake dragon. The old man was extremely shocked as he inspected the materials. The Roaring Sky Beast and the 9-headed snake dragon are both extremely terrifying high-level Horde leader-level monsters. They're even stronger than the Steel Armor Dragon. Since they're both in the ocean, it'll be even harder to kill them. I'll count these 2 as 20 billion and the last one as 12 billion. So it'll be 52 billion Chinese dollars in total, laughed the old man. All right, nodded Luo Feng. Luo Feng wasn't too happy about this war. Money? After becoming an invincible war god, money is secondary. True treasures can't be bought with money. Base. Li Dawei personally sent Luo Feng off, and the 2 of them walked side by side outside the base. How were our losses this time? Asked Luo Feng. Around 1,000 soldiers died, and close to 1,000 more are crippled, sighed Li Dawei as he shook his head. This time is pretty good. With you here, the most threatening Horde leader-level monsters were all taken care of by you, so it'll be much easier for us to deal with them. You alone are equivalent to an army of 200,000, just like in the past. Li Dawei couldn't help but to shake his head. Humanity has suffered too many casualties in the war against the sea monsters. Otherwise, he wouldn't have purposely used this opportunity to gather war gods. Also, Li Dawei shook his head as he laughed bitterly. The billions of sea monsters we killed this time is just a drop in the ocean compared to the countless monsters in the ocean. A drop in the ocean. P.S. 2 chapters completed.